Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, coming to a not so distant future near you, everything is free, paid for by somebody, promised to everybody, and eventually the piper must come to pay the bill. But until then, enjoy your bedlam, plebs, because Mamdani has the solution for everything: more government.
Here's how it will work. Once a month, our 5 city-run grocery stores will set prices for this core set of goods at 30% below typical retail prices. No exceptions, no gimmicks. The savings will last for the entire month. That means no weekly fluctuations nor sticker shock at the checkout line.
A few moments later.
I want you all to know something.
Here's how it will work.
I made that meme. As I'm sitting here getting ready to go live with Bobby Sausalito, a.k.a. Bobby Saus, a.k.a. @takesnaps, I'm listening to Mamdani promise everybody things with other people's money, and the solution is going to be that it's going to be cheaper, and they're going to fix the price at lower levels for the entire month, as if nobody's going to go hog wild by hoarding this stuff. But then what they're going to do is they're going to limit it. You see now? Everything that's at 30% discount, they're going to limit. Have people not seen what they do for Pokemon cards when they come out with a new edition? I go to Dick's Sporting Goods, get some baseball cards, and they at Dick's Sporting Goods say maximum 10 per person. People fight over freaking Pokemon cards. You think they're not going to fight over lowered goods of food origins? Oh, and then you couple that with you're not going to have any police. You're going to have, what do they call it? Transit ambassadors. You're going to have your government subsidized, government run grocery ambassadors. You're going to have bread lines literally outside New York, but that's a good thing. To quote Bernie Sanders, it's a good thing to have people waiting in line. You don't want to reduce poverty. You want to create more of it so you have more to deal with. And that way, as a government, you get to say that you're dealing with the problems that you cause, because government is the only industry where you fail upwards consistently. No greater sign of that than another $1.24 billion to go to Pfizer for the 2027 year for more COVID vaccine research. At some point, they're going to have to start bookmarking that for COVID vaccine injury payouts or cancer myocarditis research caused by the COVID vaccine that was never properly researched. People, it's easy to get enraged, and one must vent and let it out and laugh about it, because serenity prayer now. God, give me the strength to change the things I can, the courage to serenity now. People, before I bring in Bobby Sausalito, I do have to thank our sponsor for today's stream. It is not Rumble Studio, it's Rumble Wallet, people. And let me bring it up here and it's the sponsor for today's stream, but they're awesome regardless. So just everybody knows, either it's a sponsor, people. Rumble Wallet is awesome. Rumble, the platform, is awesome. Chris Pavlovsky, the CEO, is awesome. And they are sponsoring this show with this advertisement for Rumble Wallet. People, how many of you think you have control over your money right now? Technology has changed everything, and it's changing how money works. Crypto started as a niche, and now it's going mainstream. Faster payments, more control, fewer middlemen, and it's not hype, people. It's actually quite amazing. Let me bring up the QR code so that everybody can see where you go to download the Rumble Wallet. I mean, I tell you this all the time, and I've done it myself, and it facilitates the way, it facilitates and or revolutionizes the way people can get tipped, hold currency, move currency. Get this thing out here. Let's do this right now. And so, hold on. Scan the QR code, people. Rumble Wallet. You can buy Bitcoin, hold gold-backed dollars with Tether. By the way, it's gold-backed to crypto. Backed, like you can actually go redeem your crypto, XAUT, at a vault in Switzerland for actual gold. Setting it up, it is simple. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your debit card, credit card, bank account, and be running in minutes. For a limited time, you can start your wallet with $5 in US stablecoin. That's the USAT sticker symbol, by downloading the Rumble Wallet and by entering my exclusive promo, Viva5, when you sign up now. You can even use your Rumble Wallet to support your favorite creators. Not necessarily me, but like me and others. Do it now. Scan the QR code. Click the link in the description. Go to it's wallet.rumble.com/Viva. Download the Rumble Wallet. Use code VIVA5 to get $5 off, $5 in stablecoin. Limited time offer. Act now. Take control of your money. Get started with Rumble Wallet today. Terms and conditions apply. The description is in the link in the bottom, rumble.com promo official rules for details. And by the way, you could do it so that the government can't freeze your money, like they did in Canada, like they're discussing doing in America. Stephen Miller is floating the idea of freezing the bank accounts of illegals, as a coercive measure to get self-deportation. And in principle, not a bad idea. The only problem is you give that government the power for illegal aliens. I shouldn't put that in quotes. You give the government the power to do that for illegal aliens. They'll do it for any form of illegal activity. Then they're going to do it for wrong things. Then they're going to do it for wrong speech. And then you have a social credit score system where the government can shut you off from your money if they don't like what you're saying, much like what you have up in Canada. All right, with that said, peeps, I'm going to bring in Bobby Sauce. You might remember him from such live streams as Viva and Bobby Sauce the last time you were here. Bobby, how goes the battle?
Goes well. Glad to be here.
Dude, so we won't spend the entire time talking about this. I was watching you on Kyle this morning talking about the Tyler Robinson stuff. We're gonna flesh this out because not everybody accepts the invites to have these discussions, and I like them. I'm not I say everybody should be a lawyer for a little bit of their lives so they can learn how to think critically, think by evidence, and also, not take things too personally. Everyone should be the youngest of 5 kids, because when you say stupid things, people call you stupid, and you get used to actually having social familial consequences for saying stupid things. People are very sensitive and don't like having their ideas criticized. Bobby, what's your well, first of all, tell everybody what you are, who you do. I'm joking. Who you are and what you do, and what you're all about.
I'm a web developer turned social media political comedian / commentator. I'm an average everyday guy who's an entrepreneur who happened to notice that the 2020 election was looking particularly questionable after the entire world got shut down. I've been a conspiracy theorist / noticer / person who is aware of what's going on in the world for many, many moons. And I just started making political comedy and political commentary out of frustration when the whole world was locked down. Happened to have a video go viral, built a little bit of a following, and now I make political comedy, political commentary type videos pretty much every day across all platforms. Instagram is kind of my home base, but I'm on X, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and all of that. And I just try to make complicated topics entertaining and digestible so that people that otherwise would be frustrated or not pay attention start to pay attention.
Now, let me ask you this, and I ask this with no sensitivity, no chip on my shoulder. When people say noticing, and there's the whole thing like the noticing will continue, do I understand it right that are they talking about Jews, or are they talking about other stuff which encompasses the Jews?
No. Does noticing something is anywhere in the definition of the word noticing have anything to do with Jews?
This might be not my own projection, but in my own experience, like that is typically how I've noticed people using it. Like, and I don't even blame them. Like, you talk about it, and I say you can't deny statistical overrepresentation. It seems that fatigue is the term used when it comes to the race relations, and noticing is what's used when it comes to finding the Jew in the equation.
Just because certain people associate a term, or even most people associate a term with a meaning, doesn't mean that word can be deduced to mean that from any person at any time. If they can label a specific word as having some type of inference because a group of people labels it that way, it doesn't mean that everybody agrees with that. The word noticing definitionally does not mean that. And some people may use it in that way, primarily because they get censored and suppressed online if they say otherwise. So it can be co-opted, but that doesn't mean that every person is saying that,
and by the way,
including myself.
No, that's it. I'm not even remotely suggesting you have any anti-Semitic sentiment behind the term. I've noticed that that's how it tends to, or at least in the milieu of the internet, tends to get used. That being said, I also notice as well, because when people say, okay, it's been saying it for a while. Like when people say, there's statistical overrepresentation of Jews in winning Nobel Peace Prizes, in the sciences, in the arts, everybody loves that good stereotype. And then when people say like, there's a statistical overrepresentation of Jews in Hollywood, then you're like, well, we don't. That noticing is verboten. But when it's good, it's good. And so I mean, I've noticed it as well. Like you can't deny certain statistical overrepresentation.
Yep.
When you don't like it, but then celebrate it when you do like it.
Correct.
Do we want to let's just get on with the not the Tyler Robinson stuff. Go for it.
I'll say one thing about that. The other thing is that I think that there's words are very important, and what we use words for, or what assignment of meaning we put behind those words is very important. And for these very complicated, very contentious topics, there's a strategy, I think, to confuse the average person by associating one thing with another thing. I think that when a lot of people talk about the overrepresentation of Israeli interests and or the country of Israel, people will say, what are you talking about, Jews? And it's like, no, I'm not talking about Jews. I had a guy slide into my DMs very angrily the other day where he's just like, why are you make all these videos being mean to Jews? And I said, show me one video where I mentioned Jews, because I don't even do that. If I mention the country of Israel, or I mention AIPAC, neither of those things are Jews. Those things are the country of Israel, the government of Israel. The Jews word is weaponized to basically negate the entire point. Like, you hate a group of people based on their ethnicity or their religious background. You're not talking about the government of the country of Israel.
Well, I even say, like, again, I don't have any sensitivities to this. I don't trust the government of Israel any more than I trust the government of Canada. And I actually have some disdain towards the government of Israel, given what they did during COVID. But Bobby, like,
Cool.
what I do notice is that people cloak it and say, yeah, I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm just anti-Zionist or anti-Israel. And then, they just notice that someone's Jewish and then reflexively call them a Zionist or, a Mossad agent or a BB Bucks individual, which is why part of my observation is that there may or may not be bad faith players in there who either are just fundamentally all Jews are bad, and I'll pretend I'm not anti-Semitic but anti-Zionist, but then when I find out Viva Frei is Jewish, well, then he becomes a Zionist, even though he's criticized Israeli government more than most people, asked more questions about October 7th than most people. Then you sort of get the impression that, no, at the end of the day, they just see an individual for an ethnic identity, black, Jew, Muslim, gay, whatever, and this sort of pigeonholing is just as bad on the right as it is on the left.
Yes, and that is valid. I think that what is happening there is, like, I'll try to give a different example as it relates to, like, racism, for example. It's like, if I see, like, the mayor of Chicago, for example, say, oh, there's teen takeovers, and, like, every video that I see of teen takeovers is people that happen to look a very specific way, I have pattern recognition. So when I see people in my comments saying something like Candace Owens is evil and or Ian Carroll is evil, it's like, why is their last name Ferber or Goldstein or whatever? It's like, you're just acknowledging that this person has a more than likely predisposition to disagree with this person because of some other reason. Like, a lot of people hate Candace Owens because of what she says about the country that they like, not so much that they disagree with her take on the Charlie Kirk narrative or whatever else. And I don't think that is to just say that all Jews are blank or all blanks are this. It's just that this is a pattern recognition where it's like, you naturally are more than likely to believe one position or encourage one position because it jeopardizes your pre-existing beliefs about a multitude of other things.
Okay, but that's where I was going to start the entire Tyler Robinson, Candace Owens discussion off with this. Like, do you not observe that the second anyone who is, on the side of, quote, asking the questions gets asked a question about their questions or their hypotheses, the immediate reflex is Zionist, coming from, in particular, and I've noticed it from Ian Carroll and Candace Owens, where it's not even, forget the fact that you got me, Wikipedia, I'm born into a Jewish family. It's a reflexive slur that is detached from reality, and then the only real thing you can deduce from it is either these people are stupid, they're robots, or they're just out there to slander an individual, irrespective of the truth of what they're saying, because it's easy to say Fed slop, Zionist, BB Bucks, propaganda promoter. Do you not see that being the reflexive go-to when anyone questions those who are just asking questions?
I think that it's an unfortunate reality of public discourse, but I don't think that it's necessarily fair to say that because some people say this or some people react in such a way that you can characterize their position as being backed in hatred. If they genuinely believed that this thing was responsible and or always a common thread in a specific set of topics, that doesn't necessarily mean that they hate those people if they truly believe that that's what it is.
Well, but then, if we're noticing, at what point, given what level of propensity do you get to conclude, if it's not all, it's not all of them by definition, but it's a substantial enough portion that I'm asking myself the question, are these is it deliberate agitators on both ends of the spectrum, like the bots that come out and call you a Nazi or a pedo supporter if you support Trump, or the ones that come out and say Zionist, BB bucks, $7,000, you sold your soul, of those who are asking they're asking the questions, but the second you don't toe their line or question them on what they're saying, that's the reflect. At what point do you begin to notice that that's the level of discourse of a large swath of people who seem to be following Candace and Ian?
That certainly may be the case, but and I would even go as far as saying that, yeah, maybe that is, but at the same time, we can't get bogged down on one individual's take based on the most fringe elements of people that happen to rally around that thing. So it's like, even if that was true, it doesn't necessarily mean that me or the next 50 people that suggest that it's this, that, or the other can be lumped into the most fringe elements of it. Much like you would say that if I say, I don't trust the government of Israel because it keeps showing up here, or it's overrepresented in the halls of power, or Trump says that Miriam Adelson might be more loyal to Israel. It's like, just because I say that, you can't be like, well, you hate Jews.
No, those are legit evidence-based conclusions. Like, what the F is going on when Trump says this publicly? When he said that about Adelson, that she's more loyal to Israel, and something joking about the $250 million, I don't think he called it an investment. I thought it was fake at first. I'm like, there's no way that's real.
Yeah.
Then when it turns out to be real, I'm like, oh, he has to be doing it to throw her under the bus. And then, no, it looks like it's all just, part of the actual pay-to-play political scheme of things. Donate enough money, and that's how you get influence, and then you ignore your base and you move towards the donor class.
Right. And then, but what's doubly, triply, quadruply, whatever concerning about that is, like, in the event that you were to suggest such a thing about a person on a college campus, you would be labeled as anti-Semitic for literally saying the exact same thing that Trump said about Miriam Adelson. It's like, this person is more loyal to another country. It's like, that's anti-Semitism. So it's like, it's like all of these things it's like a trap in and of itself, where the legitimate discourse gets muddied by that. And in the event that something gets so deep in the weeds, they can just be like, well, what do you hate, Jews? It's like, you're muddying up a thing that would otherwise be a reasonable discourse to have, because you can assign it to whatever some fringe element says it means.
Well, we'll probably come back to this by the end of the discussion, because I think it loops back around. I mean, I do think there are armies of bad faith or bot or whatever, state funded, or just trolls who enjoy ruining otherwise meaningful discourse. And I say on both sides, like, you try to have meaningful discourse. I was in Anna Kasparian's Twitter silo today because she misunderstood a post that I wrote where things get interpreted literally on X. I said, remember, someone called me a Jew or a Zionist in respect of my asking questions of those asking the questions. And I said, remember, everybody, they're not anti-Semitic, they're just anti-Zionist, except every Jew is a Zionist. And people read it as though it's a positive affirmation that I'm saying every Jew is a Zionist. I'm like, what are you talking about, Viva? Not every Jew is a Zionist. And Anna thought the same thing. I was like, then I go into her feed, and they're the same level of trolls, bots, whatever in there. And I do think it's specifically intended to make public discussion impossible, to shatter everything, and cause people to enter into a realm of, I get to believe whatever I want because I don't trust anybody anywhere on earth. Now, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that one of the things that we need to maybe know, understand, or whatever, or accept, is that we can't let the chirping in the audience determine, the battle that's happening on the court. It's like if you go to a basketball game and everybody's yelling from the stands, it's like, yeah, there's 1,000 people that are there that bought a ticket that are like, LeBron James sucks. And it's like, if we get lost in all of the conversation on the outside, we lose track of what's happening on the inside. So it's like, yeah, those people are there. There's bad people that say mean things and unfortunate things and categorize one thing or the other on every side. So I don't know what relevance at this stage that really has in the conversation, that lots of stupid people say stupid things.
Well, Bobby, this is why among adults who are reasonably confident can, deal with being called names. You can call me whatever name you want. Calling me a Zionist Fed slopper BB bucks dude is about as insulting as calling me too tall or too fat. I mean, it's devoid from reality. I just don't understand how people get there.
A lot of people are sitting on the toilet taking a dump, scrolling through Twitter on their way back to a job that they hate and a relationship they dislike, and they're firing it off and they're like 7K. You know what I mean? So it's like, again, we can't get lost in that. It's like people are pooping and they're like, fuck you.
No, okay. So set all that nonsense aside. Bobby, may I ask, you're on the other side. Well, I don't even think you're on the other side of this, but you certainly wade in the pool of the people who call me a Fed slopper.
I don't think I ever called you that.
No, I don't. I wanted to ask you the question just to pick your brain and to see if you can have an opinion. From an outside perspective, what is it that you think, if you had to qualify, I think, of the Tyler Robinson prosecution? Is your impression that I believe and I'll put it in quotes, the official government narrative?
I don't know the totality of your position because there's only so much time in the day. So it's like, even as it relates to the Tyler Robinson case, it's like, I didn't watch every single minute of every single testimony. I watched a lot of it live. I watched a lot of it played back. I watched a lot of it on 2-speed while I was doing other things. I watched a lot of the analysis, but I certainly don't know every single thing. So I don't know the full totality of your position. But if I had to take an initial assumption, it would be my position on where you stand is that to disagree with the official narrative likely makes you dumb, and or you agree with Candace Owens, and or like you're only doing that because you have some nefarious intent. But I don't know the full totality of your position. So forgive me on that.
I'll flesh it out more. In the context of this discussion, and we're going to get to it because you touched on it with Kyle. I sincerely, legitimately believe that there are people, real or not, who either thrive on just ruining the conversation, or there is something similar of an operation happening. And I'll make the comparison and people can misunderstand it again if they want, to Sandy Hook, where there are people spreading disinformation in the hopes of getting people to repeat it so that populist voices can get discredited for saying untenable things again. And so that it makes it actually more difficult to get to the real issues here. Because the underlying question is, the underlying theme of many is that Israel did it. Israel had a hand in it. And, like Ian said the day after, Israel just shot Charlie in front of his family, or Israel just shot themselves. They killed Charlie, the they being Israel. And that has poisoned any discussion, because when people are just looking to blame somebody from the get-go, the absence of evidence will be the evidence, and they'll spin any evidence, even if it's non-existent, into supporting that theory. But then it actually just allows everybody to discredit the legitimate questions, like, all right, who else, why did the FBI, or did the FBI not carry out a sufficient investigation into who else was involved, foreign nexus or potentially a domestic nexus? Mm-hmm. What's your underlying theory, of what's going on with Tyler Robinson, of your assessment of the evidence, and what weaknesses or questions allow you to point to, I say, anyone else or anyone specific other than the narrative as it's currently being told of Tyler Robinson with a bunch of, maybe furry friends on the internet?
Well, I think that it's important to set the initial foundational kind of understanding between us and between the audience, which is that in the event that you pay attention to this case, me included, one should presume that I care about justice for Charlie Kirk. I care about the justice for an American citizen, one of great consequence, being assassinated in cold blood, whether I agree with them or disagree with them. I believe that is important. I believe that the person or persons responsible for it, whomever they should be held responsible for it. That is the American justice system. You are innocent until proven guilty. So if we agree that that's the case, that I only pay attention to it because I care about justice for an American citizen that was assassinated, not necessarily one I agree with, even though I do, for the most part. So then we set that ground rule that I'm not paying attention because I want to blame Israel or whatever else. Now, we also have to say that in the event that I look at this from a fair and reasonable position, my position is I am looking at the case against Tyler Robinson. I'm not looking at who killed Charlie Kirk, how Charlie Kirk died, who was responsible for it. I'm just looking at the present moment, with a limited amount of information that's publicly available, is Tyler Robinson guilty? That is the case that is at hand. All of the other ancillary details are just, to me, just items to be placed on the shelf of an open crowdsourced investigation, of which I am not in the room looking at the autopsy. So in the event that that's the case, my position is I have not been convinced with the evidence thus far that Tyler Robinson is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I am willing to admit that he may be. I would even go as far as saying I hope that he is. But with the information that's out thus far, I'm not convinced of that. And I think that anybody who cares about justice for Charlie Kirk and justice for potentially an American citizen that's on trial for his life, we should be willing to talk about it without some preconceived notion about what it is, how it went down, or what dots we need to connect at this stage. I think we're 10-20% of the way into this, and it will make itself clearer over time. But I think that it's reasonable and rational for us as political commentators and or commentators to discuss it, because I think discussion ultimately leads to not only just the validity of the case itself, but it creates a paper trail, for lack of a better word, of the people that are saying X, Y, and Z as it being definitively this or definitively that. So I think that this is all good. This is all good for the book of record.
Well, no, I agree with everything, especially, documenting it in real time. And sometimes people say, Vivi, Twitter's not real life. It's like, nobody uses it like real life, but you use it as a living diary so that in 2 years from now, you can say, oh, who was floating X, Y, and Z theory, who was responding and how they were responding when they were challenged on that theory.
Yep.
And okay, we all agree, innocent until proven guilty, period.
Yep.
You want justice and full justice.
Yes.
And then I go back to the underlying question, when the entire conversation gets hijacked by, and you may disagree with me. I don't think, do you concede that, at least from, and I say this without, they might have their reasons and whatever, they might have their evidence, that there is definitely a Zionist angle to Candace and Ian, maybe not so much Baron Coleman, but to definitely the two biggest voices on the just asking questions side that is specifically Zionist oriented. Would you concede that in terms of culpability and implication?
Is the question, do I think that they have made suggestions to believe that that has a small and or large part in what they theorize actually occurred?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be more, but let's go with that lesser quantification of the question.
I would think that they both, I would say that they both have a position that likely means that they are involved to some degree. Yes, I would agree with that. I don't think they would disagree with that.
No, I know. I think they would say, yeah, hell yeah, I'm proud of it. And although Ian sort of backtracked it a little bit now, but then the question is this, if hypothetically someone comes in with, and they're very prominent vocal voices, and they come in with a pointing the finger in the absolute other direction, barring any evidence to justify that, because I've asked him, I have zero problem accepting the idea that Israeli agents, Mossad, whatever, could in theory conceptually have been involved. There's not just zero evidence of that. All that there is evidence of potential motive. I'm not even convinced that the cui bono exists. Like, Israel doesn't benefit from any of this, even if they did do the assassination.
I disagree with that, but okay.
No, but okay. Let's pin. No, dude, you got to do it. Hypothetically, yeah. Israel did do it, or Mossad, or Netanyahu. He was angry that Charlie Kirk suggested there was a stand-down order on October 7th. How do they benefit from assassinating him this way, when even if they do it and try to make it look like they didn't do it, they still take more political blowback than it's not, they couldn't have foreseen this. This is foreseeable. Even if they didn't do it, they're getting blamed for it. If they did do it, they'll still get blamed for it. So how does it benefit? Do you think this serves as a deterrent to anybody else out there to criticize Israel?
I think that the specificity of what you just said about doing it in this way, I don't know that is relevant to the position. So I'll just say this. I believe that one could conclude that, and you could probably conclude the other way as well. One could conclude that the government of Israel and or people that are associated with it could potentially benefit as a result of Charlie Kirk not being alive. You could suggest that. I would believe that is a fair and reasonable position. Now, you could just as easily say that they would not benefit if he wasn't alive as well, because he was out there speaking positively of Israel for many, many years. So he was in a lot of ways one of their great marketers and branders and whatever, and supporters. So I just think that the case could be made either way, but to completely say that there's no benefit that they could have if he was not alive, I think is not right.
Well, I say no.
I could explain what those are.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, first and foremost, we have to acknowledge a couple things. One is that the Iran war is very important, generally speaking, or the neutralization of Iran, and or the United States government continuing to be on the side and getting the people to be on the side of supporting the war in Iran, which some people are suggesting, and I think has some validity, is for Israel, in part joined with Israel to their benefit. Let's just say. So in the event that you had a person that was publicly dissenting about that war, speaking out against that war, actively encouraging Trump as an insider to not go to that war, in the event that there was that person, having that person not do that would be to your benefit. And Charlie Kirk was actively speaking against the Iran war. That's one thing. The second thing is that, generally speaking, I think most people would agree that the country of Israel, generally speaking, and their involvement in American politics has lost a lot of favor with the youth and people that are under the age of, let's even say, 40 years old. So you have a lot of the kind of like boomer class, Fox News class, older generations that have support for Israel for whatever reason. But the younger generation, getting that voting block of people and that community of people to agree that Israel is generally good and or what they are pushing is for Americans' benefits, being able to convince those people not of that, Charlie Kirk was uniquely positioned to have that type of sway over that group of people. So if you have a guy that can single-handedly influence millions, if not tens of millions of the most important future voting block of people, that Israel is thus not deserving of our support and or is counter to whatever would be in the interest of Israel, generally speaking, then that person not saying that would also be beneficial.
Okay, and I agree with, again, everything you said from a theoretical potential intent. Now, that being said, mutatis mutandis, everything you said would also hold true of Charlie's political influence on the 2S LGBTQIA plus trans movement as well, which is what he was talking about, trans violence. And so that rationale applies equally to multiple sets of people, but at least for the time being, Israel as a political interest and the trans movement as a domestic issue. Then the question becomes, okay, fine. You have two competing potential intents. You could write a novel either way. Mm-hmm. Then the question becomes, okay, fine. You could make the argument it would be useful to have Charlie not there if he was going to sway the next generation of Americans from supporting Israel, or he's a thorn in the side for the war in Iran.
Yes.
Then the question becomes like, what evidence other than that theoretical intent is there that Israel had anything to do with it? And I appreciate Israel's got a long history of assassinations. Mm-hmm. When they do it well, or they do it inconspicuously. If you're going to say that they have a long history of doing it, and then they did it in a way now, barring any evidence to substantiate this, in a way that defies any historical analog of how they've gone about assassinating people, that it seems incongruous on its face as well. They're the best at what they do. They've got 50 years of a celebrated history of assassinating political leaders, and they picked the wrong bullet to frame this one and blew and destroyed everything in the absence of any other tangible evidence that Israel had anything to do with this.
It is not my contention, nor have I ever publicly stated that I believe outright that Israel is responsible for this. I've never said that. I've never even so much as suggested that I believe that. What I have said is, like I just said there, which is like, is there a benefit? Is there a potential benefit to them? Yes. If we do we agree that because you had said that you don't see any benefit. I just laid out
two things. No. I could make the argument for how they would benefit if Charlie was in fact impeding the war in Iran. I could understand it. But then I say also that there's better ways of silencing people than martyring them.
Sure. And again, my position is not definitively one way or the other. The example that I gave to Kyle is I was like, if we were running a mile on a track, we're barely finished with the first lap. So I think that a lot of this stuff is TBD, and it is never my conclusion to say definitively, I know this unless I can prove a thing. So like, yeah, I've never suggested that I have some type of evidence or information that other people don't have, but I can at least acknowledge that there is a potential benefit there. Whether or not they're responsible for it or not, I have no idea. I would almost lean to the side that they're probably not, but I don't know. I don't know definitively one way or the other. And that's why I think that the crowdsourced investigation ongoing out in the public sphere, I think is important, because obviously we don't have the answers, but I think that the discussion of it is not in and of itself nefarious and or bad. This is what we do about every other thing. It's like we don't know definitively that Lindsey Graham is dead, but it's highly suggestive that probably is, but I don't know. I didn't look at the guy. And then you start to break apart all of the messaging and the photos and who sees to benefit and why is he not here? And you have this guy that's literally tripped over the air on TV. He's completely spazzed out and, had a factory reset live on camera. So it's like one can deduce that he probably is not alive, but I don't know that he is. So this is just what we do. We're analyzing it. But for somebody to categorize our position as being is to categorize our intent for looking into something the same way we look into every other thing, maybe because we suggest it's one way or the other. I think that just negates the fact that this is what we do. We analyze what's available and we try to draw conclusions and we talk out in the open to discuss and be proven or disproven one way or the other. This is what our purpose is.
Well, I mean, I guess that's right for some. I'm not sure that just asking questions is right for others when they're just asking questions from a foregone, pre-stated conclusion, and then anyone who challenges those questions then becomes the Zionist because of the foregone conclusion from which they've started, which is that Israel did it. It's the Zionists. It's it's AIPAC and whatever. But that's again, and then you're not actually asking questions, because then what you're doing is asking disingenuous questions only to get to the conclusion that you've already arrived to, and that's what we call motivated reasoning.
Well, if that was the case, then there would be a reasonable position to say that, like, I guess the question is like, okay, so let's say that is the case. So then what do we do? Not talk about it? It's no,
like talk about it, but what I'm noticing is that the people saying we're just asking the questions are the loudest and most vitriolic in terms of shutting down and trying to shut up anybody who challenges them on their assertions. And I appreciate people don't like being called stupid, but grow a fucking pair if you're going to, have public discourse and espouse views that are fundamentally unsupported and unsubstantiated. You can deal with getting called the name, especially the amount of names that people get called on the internet. But I get the question is this: we ask the questions. We haven't gotten to the trial yet of Tyler Robinson, which is one problem where people are operating on the basis, and I think the misunderstanding, that we're at the trial stage. I haven't seen the evidence. It hasn't been presented yet. That's what the trial's for.
Yeah.
Right now, the public investigations, and I always think they're worthwhile. They're worthwhile in terms of learning new information, relevant or not as it may be, putting forward theories that then get debunked. But it's like the people trying to test the people's theories who are just asking the questions are getting demonized as Fed sloppers. The theories that they've put forward end up turning into muck, and then they just move on to the next one and say, we're just asking questions, when in reality, they might be distracting from the actual meaningful questions to actually get to whatever meaningful conspiracy there might be in this story.
Yeah, and that's a fair and reasonable position to have, but that exists on both sides of the spectrum. So to say that that's the case, it's like, okay, let's say that we agree with that. Okay, well, the exact same thing is happening in the other direction. If you talk about it, if you point out something that Candace brought to the equation, you're an anti-Semitic idiot and you're a demon or you're evil or whatever. So it's like, yeah, obviously there's both sides of this. So what I don't understand about that being presented in this discussion is like, okay, so then what do we do? What's the solution? The solution is, I don't understand what you're proposing as the solution to that. Yeah, bad people say bad things on both sides. People get dismissed. They call you a Fed slopper, just like you call them anti-Semitic. So okay, so what do we do with that? We do nothing? We should keep going on. So the fact that we're acknowledging that happens, okay. And what? And then what?
It's the pro-Israel shills calling Viva. It's the pro-Israeli shills name calling Viva, demonic, evil, etc. Now you're part of that with your Sandy Hook BS. So they're calling the names, but now you're calling me a name and also saying I'm a Fed slopper. I mean,
but they're doing the same. That's what I'm saying, is they're doing the same thing. For every person that calls you a Fed slopper, they call us a demonic satanic. You're talking about the widow. It's like,
I think some of the questions have not been useful questions, but we can get to that later. But now that you bring it up, and I've thought about this sincerely this morning, from an evidentiary probative value in the context of this investigation. What has been the most useful piece of information that Candace, in her 10 months of day in, day out, I'm not even calling it, I don't call it coverage anymore. It's crime drama, manufacturing of drama, from The Bride of Chucky to, the Ben Shapiro's lunch partner. I mean, what is the most evidentiary useful piece of information that she herself uncovered?
Well, again, I mean, the suggestion therefore is like, this person that cares about her friend is only doing so because of nefarious intent.
No, I'm just like, this is a straight up question. What is the most useful piece of information that she herself discovered in the 10 months of investigation that she's been doing?
I would say that probably the most significant thing that she's done is point out inconsistencies in messaging from Turning Point official, from Andrew Colvett, from Mikey McCoy, and from the associated acts that are delivering messaging that gets proven to be incorrect. So analyzing all of the non-case specific evidence and saying, this is suspicious, this is weird, why did you lie about this? But I also think that the text messages and her proximity to Turning Point insiders revealing things like, for example, Charlie's disposition and his evolving position on Israel and the Israeli donors is an incongruence with what everybody else said. He was with Israel till his dying day. He never said a bad thing about Israel. So she presents a unique angle set of information that is based on a person that has insider knowledge, not only of Charlie's personal life, but the other people on the inside. So she has a unique piece of access. It's not that she's presenting some hard piece of evidence that we can cite as the most significant. She just brings a lot of things to the table that are worth analysis. Whereas it's like, if this is true, why are you lying about all these little things? Why she got things like the phone records from, I think it was from Mikey McCoy. So that was an interesting piece of information that probably wouldn't have made it to the trial that she uniquely was able to get. She has the text messages from Charlie himself, which are a unique piece of evidence, information, ancillary support information that provides some type of perspective that contradicts what their official messaging is about him. So it's like, that's really what her value is. Now, here's the other thing on top of all that. I'm not going to put words in Candace's mouth, but let's just say this. How many of these people that are talking about the case knew Charlie personally? Basically none. So she has a unique angle. If she talked to Charlie on the phone about X, Y, or Z topic that she doesn't have physical evidence of, that she knows because he said it to her, but she can't prove it. What does she do with that? She can't do anything with it, but she knows it. And I would argue that will likely influence and perhaps add an additional emotional tilt to the thing that she's saying, that all of us sort of like, where's the proof? What's the source? And it's like, if you talked to Charlie on the phone a week before and he said X, but you can't prove he said it, you just know it. So you do the best that you can to assemble the ancillary information to help bring people into your understanding without saying outright, Charlie said this on the phone, a thing I can't prove.
I would have answered as well that the most, as far as I can tell right now, the most relevant evidence, or at least evidence of interest, would be the text messages where Charlie was complaining about the pressure that donors were putting on him.
Yes.
Now, that being said, that from the investigation into, I mean, I hope everyone appreciates, if that's the strongest thing that she's brought to this table after 10 months of what I would call tormenting Erica Kirk. I would call it that. I appreciate some people have hatred for Erica Kirk. I don't know her, never met her, don't care. But I think it's been terribly unfair treatment. If that's the biggest thing that she's brought in the 10 months, above and, in the context of the endless and ever-moving targets of this drama, okay, great. That is strictly useless in the prosecution of this crime. And so, great. It shows that Charlie might have said some things about Jews behind closed doors that, people might find embarrassing in terms of it, compromising the legacy of Charlie Kirk, his brand, his image. I can appreciate that. It's like finding out someone's using the N-word repeatedly in text messages when they're coming out as a holier than thou pastor for their entire lives. That is useless when it comes to the actual evidence and prosecution. Would you not concede that?
Yeah, but what I just said before this is that is not the totality of what she is doing. In my understanding, my belief is that it's not just about the case against Tyler Robinson.
Yeah, it's about Jewish lobby.
No.
All right. Zionist?
No.
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Bobby.
No. What I'm saying is that there are multiple things at work here. One of which is the case against Tyler Robinson. The second thing is, can the people that are in and around Charlie Kirk and managing the largest political action organization in America for the young people, of an organization of great significance, are the people in that organization trustworthy? Is the purpose of that, in my opinion. So it's like, is Andrew Colvett, the spokesperson for this organization, is he trustworthy? Is Erica Kirk, the leader of this organization, is she trustworthy? Are the supporting acts trustworthy? Are those people deserving of you buying your next ticket to AmFest? Are they trustworthy enough for you to donate your money to Turning Point USA? Are they trustworthy enough for you to watch the Charlie Kirk show and believe it to be true? Are they trustworthy enough to believe that their perspective can be taken seriously on A through Z issues? So I don't know that it's all just about the guilt of Tyler Robinson. It's more about the credibility of those people. And it's an inconclusive open collection of evidence, more so than it is a definitive conclusion about one thing or the other. It's just like, here's this thing. Isn't this weird? Why did they lie about this? What does it mean? I don't know yet. Perhaps this will become relevant later in the evidentiary discovery.
So an audit as to the trustworthiness of TPUSA post-assassination or pre-assassination?
Both. I mean, I
guess the one question is, why didn't anyone scrutinize TPUSA? Maybe they were scrutinizing Erica Kirk and TPUSA before Charlie got assassinated, but it seems right now, fine, you want to go after TPUSA and see if they were not filing taxes properly. That two things can be true at once. And thus far, in all of her 10 months of day in, day out, endless coverage, investigations, nothing of value other than gossip about TPUSA internally, Erica Kirk and her past, and those text messages, which could be, the embarrassing on the one hand, but it could also go to motive in the absence of any concrete evidence. Let me ask you this. It's a tough one to get out of people in public. What are the biggest mistakes that she's made in terms of assertions that she's made?
I'll just say that to say that I forget what you just said there, but you said it was of no importance
for the prosecution. I mean, we're talking in terms of the criminal investigation.
But I just said that it's not just about the prosecution; it's about the trustworthiness of.
No, I know. So now you have two different things going on.
Yeah,
Candace might have her grievances with TPUSA. She might maybe they were doing no-nos when it came to get out the vote. So if her investigation now is not about the murder of the assassination of Charlie, but rather the corporate propriety of TPUSA, so be it.
Okay. Well, I think that is what it is. I think it's all of them together. And I don't necessarily think that the way that how I'm phrasing this is that I don't believe that anyone has the ability to make a definitive case yet, especially before the trial itself. But what one would do or is doing is gathering information of relatively low to maybe no importance to potentially great importance. But much like you would conduct a normal investigation, I presume, you would be gathering information being like, that's weird, put it on the shelf, that's strange. Why did you lie about this? I don't know why, I don't know what, but this is strange. Let's place it here. So to say that it is meaningless or inconclusive, it's like, I don't know that a lot of people are saying that it is. It's just gathering all of these things to potentially make sense as they fit into the puzzle later on.
Let me bring this up. Viva, what about the fact that she showed there was no blood in the back? First of all, we might disagree on no blood in the back. Second of all, I saw the amount of blood that came out of Charlie after he was shot, however much is left afterwards, and black leather in the back of the car. So no, she didn't show that, nor did she show that there was burn marks on the body, broken glass from an exploding microphone. So it's
showed the glass. It certainly looked like glass.
Looked like glass, yes. But that would be, as far as I'm concerned, evidence of not an exploding microphone, not a 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch Rode microphone. That's how much glass is left.
No, it looked like tempered glass from a Rode microphone. That's what it looked like.
It looked like tempered glass, maybe from a car window, but
there was no broken car windows.
Well, but we don't know that. And between the amount of tempered glass that would be left on a Rode microphone after an what do they call them? A directional explosive. I mean, but hold on, get back to the question.
That may be the point. It may be inconclusive, which is why like the simple gathering and assemblage of these pieces of evidence that may be of no importance or some importance, that's what she's doing. She's just saying, look, here's what I found. Why is there a burnt shirt there? I don't know.
But the burnt shirt presupposes a conclusion. Putting out putting out information or a slew of it can be useful. It could also be the Gish Gallop type strategy. It's the spaghetti on the wall. Hey, he was shot in the neck. No, it could have come from the trapdoor on the bottom. No, it was the Egyptian planes. No, it was an exploding microphone. At some point, I mean, it's good for some, and it's good for generating, crime drama suspense, but not good for actually pursuing meaningful leads. But let me ask you this:
that's your interpretation of it.
Well, I mean, but that's where it's gone. It's turned.
But you don't know because we don't know where the pieces fit in later. Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe it's all for naught. But I don't think that she's doing it to create crime drama. I think she's doing it
know.
because I think that she's doing it because she genuinely cares about justice for her friend and what it would potentially mean absent what it would potentially mean if in the event that it was incorrect. So it's like when you can't do something, when you can't do everything, I would say it's reasonable to think that you would try to do something. And with the benefit of an open investigation and a multitude of different experts and or people with different information weighing in collectively, you're just being transparent. You don't know what something means now, but you're presenting it not to say that you have a conclusion, but like, what is this? Why is this? And you just follow the leads to where they may lead or where they may not. But to suggest that she's only doing it for some type of other, you're assigning nefarious intent because you don't believe that it's purposeful.
Well, no, I'm not even assigning nefarious intent. I'm just assessing the conclusion, which is that it has turned into a circus wherein now meaningful questions about not even less outlandish but substantiated unanswered questions now get lumped together and ignored. But I will be people, what the fuck? Check out the photos of the FCC. The tempered glass has road writing on it. Why are you shilling for teaching? Someone go find me the tempered glass that has the Rode microphone on it, and I'd love to see it. But now I'll ask you this again: what are the biggest mistakes that she's made in her pursuit of righteous or not righteous investigation?
Mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, the Egyptian planes. Have we moved on from the Egyptian planes?
Again, I don't think that we are at a position in the open crowdsourced investigation to determine the meaning of one piece of information or the next. So like, yeah, maybe the Egyptian planes had nothing to do with it, but maybe they did. We don't know that yet. They, like I said, they could be of zero significance or they could be of great significance, but we don't know that yet.
Let me ask you this. So I don't know if anybody hears. There's a bunch of people in the other room having a party. And now I forgot the question. It was the
biggest mistake.
The receipts, the receipt from the restaurant. Like this is where I sort of, got sufficiently frustrated. Have we moved on from the receipt at the restaurant, the steakhouse? Now that have we seen that receipt unedited to confirm it was Tyler Robinson?
I don't know. I mean, I believe that Candace says that she has seen it unblurred.
Mm-hmm. Get the fuck out, Viva, agent of the state. Awesome. That's a convincing point. Thank you for your addition to the discussion. So let me ask you this now. You get that element in here, which I argue not only distracts from the meaningful discussion, it makes getting at the truth impossible because now nobody's going to listen to anybody because you're all a bunch of people like that. What are the biggest unanswered? I heard you on Kyle, and I was taking some notes. But what are the biggest unanswered questions that you have? Because I've got my own. But what are the biggest, most inexplicable details of this that you have remaining?
I think that it's really difficult to say a specific unanswered question. To me, my stated position is I am not convinced beyond a reasonable doubt of Tyler Robinson's guilt. That's my stated position. So I could be convinced. Now, I just think that a lot of things warrant further investigation and or other questions to be asked. I don't know the severity or the significance or where those things will lead. But to me, there's a few things that are pretty glaring where it's like, it just leaves me with more questions than answers. It doesn't mean that I know why or how it is that way. It doesn't mean that I know where it fits into the greater puzzle. It's just something that I think deserves scrutiny. And we will come back to it potentially during the actual trial and say, well, that didn't seem to make sense. One of the things that I think is probably the most damning of it all is the screwdriver. I think that the screwdriver on the roof is the one piece of tangible, hard evidence that links Tyler Robinson to the roof that day. I think absent the screwdriver, there is no other physical, tangible evidence that proves that he was there. The video as it stands right now, based on what we've been shown, is inconclusive. It is grainy. Could be any person that is on that rooftop. There was no fingerprints there on the window that he jumped down. There was no other DNA that was found there. There was no spent casing or whatever. I don't think it was that type of gun or whatever. There was none of those other physical pieces of evidence that definitively place him on the rooftop that day. The one hard piece of evidence is the rooftop, of which it has more than one DNA on it. It has Tyler Robinson and it has Lance Twiggs on it. The second thing is that the original reports of where the original press messaging of where the screwdriver was found was that it was found near the weapon, which everybody knows is across the street in a wooded area. So the original initial reports were that the screwdriver was found near the weapon. And then later the official report changed to the screwdriver was found on the roof. The original officer that went on the roof to investigate the placement and theoretically discover this screwdriver, his body cam died after being on a shift for 2 hours when a normal body cam lasts for 10 to 14 hours of charge. And the body cam died at the most opportune moment to discover the crucial piece of hard evidence. So when he went on the roof, the body cam mysteriously dies, and then he discovers the most crucial piece of evidence on that rooftop. That's peculiar. I don't know what it is. Doesn't mean that he didn't find it there, but that's very sketchy, very peculiar. In addition to that, the original police walkie-talkie or messaging calls back and forth, the guy that was on the roof investigating it said nothing about discovering the screwdriver. He said that he saw a body impression where he supposedly laid in prone position, that there was a proof that there was a person there, but he didn't mention the screwdriver. There's one physical, tangible piece of evidence on the roof when the first guy up there goes up there and he doesn't say, I found a screwdriver. Now, if they produce a photo that shows the screwdriver up there, okay, fine. If it's a timestamp, okay, fine. I'll be the first to admit that. But that's very peculiar. You said it was across the street. Now you say it's there. The guy that was up there was on the radio and didn't say anything about this screwdriver. And then on top of all that, there was another plainclothes guy that was with this person, this detective, on that rooftop. He was photoed in the body cam footage. You have a plainclothes guy with a gun and a badge, and 10 months later, you ask him who was that guy, and he doesn't know. So it's like, how do you not know who this guy was? It's a plainclothes guy with a gun and a badge of we don't even know what this guy is. You'd think it'd be important to know who that is. On top of that, that same police officer said that there was only 2 people on that rooftop. Yet video evidence from the surveillance footage shows that there was more than 2 people on that rooftop. So his testimony is incongruent with the available video evidence that show more than 2 people on the rooftop. Could it all be nothing? Could it all be meaningless? Sure. But like, why are there 3 things there?
Well, okay. I was going to ask the question in my head when you were on with Kyle. I was like, has anybody ever followed any other criminal prosecution investigation in such thorough detail from beginning to end? I don't think, we do it every now and again when there's a massive trial like O.J. Simpson, Kyle Rittenhouse, and then you go and you start piecing things together. And then you see certain elements of misreporting at the time, bad. When people say you pick up on the screwdriver, okay, fine. Conflicting reports as to where it was found. Mm-hmm. And the question is this, like, what conclusions does one draw from this? And I appreciate if you're going to say it's all a big setup, you would put the camera on and have the video evidence of him finding the screwdriver on the top. All of this is probably par for the course when it comes to any criminal investigation. And like we pretend all of a sudden that cops are not to be mean, like buffoons from time to time. Like when you talk about the bullet, there was a bullet left, and do I believe that it was cycled out of a rifle and he didn't pick it up? Freaking Michael Berg, the guy that shot Ashley Babbitt, forgot his gun in the bathroom of the Capitol Police building when he went to the bathroom. Like, cops do stupid things all the time. These investigations are always fraught with issues, but there's a difference between where do they report something versus O.J. Simpson, for example, placing blood on the sock that they had in a vial, and they discovered that it had the chemical that prevents the blood from coagulating in the vial. That's where you get into discrepancies in any investigation to a material a discrepancy from which you can decipher and conclude negative inferences. In this, I do, if there's any element of weakness of the evidence, it will come out at trial, and we're not even there yet. Yep. But to go from there to Egyptian planes, trapdoors, the question then becomes, do all of these questions now, legitimate as they are, get sidelined because they are getting drowned in the hogwash of the circus that has become of this Tyler Robinson defense or investigation?
I just don't think it's fair for you to keep pulling that in. It's like, yeah, lots of shit is there, but we're talking about this one thing. So like, yeah, that's fair that there's lots of other shit, but we're talking about this single thing. We're talking about this. We're talking about this screwdriver. And then the other thing is like, it's like, oh, a lot of people would have had to be in on it. Okay, well, if you're a detective and you are you're a police officer and you go up to this rooftop and your body cam footage was on, and it recorded that there was no screwdriver there. Well, we would, and I don't know this, but let's just say it's like, how could you get that guy to lie about that? Well, it's like, hey man, we've been thinking about upgrading you to better detective. We're thinking about bumping you up to a higher position. It'd be, we're just gonna this video footage is not there anymore. So
but then you got to get from there to
I'm not saying
falsifying the death record that it was caused by a bullet.
Well,
so you got
hold on. Let's just stay to the one thing. I'm just saying that zanier things have happened for a person to preserve their career and or benefit themselves. If it was like, hey man, turn your body cam off, or hey, we got rid of that footage and you're not going to say that we did, I'm pretty sure that you could convince one cop to do that. I'm not sure that guy did. I don't know, but I'm just saying, based on every other case I've ever seen, based on a lot of other things, it's like some people will do things that maybe seem kind of bad, maybe if they believe that it's for the right reason. It's kind of like the story of America. It's like John Wayne. It's like the ends justify the means. It's like if you believe that Tyler Robinson is the killer and this piece of information is going to put a murderer behind bars, maybe you'd look the other way if your body cam footage was off. Be like, this guy did it. I think he did it. I mean, how many cop shows have we seen on HBO and whatever else where they do the same thing? It's like they just kind of blur the lines. It doesn't mean that this guy woke up that morning and they're like, you're going to turn off your body cam foot. It just means that there's a reasonable conclusion to be made that these things are peculiar. How they play out and what actually happened and why is undetermined at this stage. So that is just a weird anomaly. What does it prove? I don't know. It's just very strange.
You mentioned something with Kyle, which was I wanted to ask you about. Hold up. The selfie video that McCoy took right after
the other guy.
Yeah, what's his name? It wasn't Harpole.
No, it wasn't Mike McCoy. It was I forget his name now. I forget his name.
It'll come back in a second.
I said it on Kyle's show. But
but it was so. Explain to me what that was, because there was a reason why I found it peculiar. He took a selfie and sent it to Candace immediately after the shooting.
No, like immediately after the shooting, he basically jumped up on like a 5 foot tall kind of like stone embankment in that driveway there and shot a selfie video saying they just shot Charlie. Oh my God, they shot Charlie. And he shoots like a 2-minute long selfie video for an undetermined purpose.
And
very weird. And then
where did that video go?
I don't know where it went, but he sent it to Candace for some reason.
Okay, see, the reason why I think that's
Terrell Farnsworth, that's his name.
Oh, okay, it wasn't
Terrell Farnsworth.
So it's interesting because Candace made hay over the fact that members of Charlie's security team, and we don't know in what capacity, had been communicating with Ben Shapiro, or communicated with, and as Charlie was being transported to the hospital. Yeah. So that's why I found that particularly curious, because if this guy shoots a 2-minute video and then sends it to Candace, if that was a suspicious thing for Ben Shapiro to receive that information so early on, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Why I was unfamiliar with that in terms of the time frame. So the guy Farnsworth, shoots this video and then sends it to Candace before Charlie's even
no
at the hospital.
He recorded the video, and I assume it was on his phone. Again, it's just one of those things where it's like you don't know where it fits in the puzzle. Maybe it fits nowhere, but it is very peculiar. So he recorded this video, and then when Candace had asked for the raw footage from behind Charlie, she was trying to get some exchange of where the footage was. And I think in the process of her and him communicating with each other and talking about the footage, I believe that he included this footage as well in what he gave to her. This was like probably weeks later.
Okay. So and then again, to be accused of Fed slopping, I don't take it personally. It's an indication of non-critical thinking. I have my own theories, and I think they are actually, in terms of a theory of the case, which one has to have, it makes a whole hell of a lot more sense where investigations may have been killed so as not to reveal potentially a broader conspiracy here. When you say like, well, who does that after someone gets shot, or who takes a selfie, who shouts fight, and that's exactly the same thing that people said to try to make it look like Trump had staged his own assassination attempt. Like, who says fight? After these moments, like, people do things that don't make any sense whatsoever, and to go back in hindsight and scrutinize, why did he do that? Why did they call it? That's okay. These are questions, and again, questions that confuse as opposed to focus in.
Well, that's your interpretation, is that they confuse. For the rest of us, these are inconclusive observations that are presented for the purpose of just general awareness. Again, we have a giant.
I disagree with that.
We have a giant puzzle. We don't know where the puzzle piece fits. It might fit nowhere, but we have a bunch of puzzle pieces that are very strange. Like Mikey McCoy, like your best buddy, your right hand man, gets shot in broad daylight, and the first thing you do is calmly walk away in the other direction. It's just very weird. I don't know what it means. I'm not saying that I know what it means. I'm not saying that it means that it has some nefarious intent, and I'm not here to assign meaning to that. But to not analyze that simply because people do weird things is like, why? It's not necessarily to assign meaning. It's just to make people aware that this is a thing. If you look at the video of what happened immediately thereafter, somebody like Frank Turek has what most people would consider to be a normal response. Oh my God, get down, jump, go over to him. Whereas the other guy calmly walks in the other direction.
But like,
it's very strange.
People look at that and then say his response wasn't normal. Who just drags him off into a car like a sack of potatoes? I mean, this is where everything is strange if you want it to be strange. And again, you say it's pieces of puzzle. And no, I say it's shiny lasers that people are now going to say, oh, now I can say that TPUSA was in on it because who behaves like that in the absence of any actual material evidence?
Just because somebody says that doesn't mean that is the purpose of the information itself. Just because some people interpret it that way and that's how they react to it. And they're like, BB, like Mikey McCoy was walking away because getting his BB bucks. Just because someone says that doesn't mean that the information in and of itself is immaterial. And again, it's not to draw a conclusion about its meaning. It's just to present it as a thing that goes on the shelf that could potentially have some implication later that would answer another question, or maybe it will mean nothing at all.
I just want to look to my notes because. No, I mean, again, I appreciate that we're just asking questions. We're just asking questions.
Yes.
And the vitriol, when I say, what's the use of that question? What do you conclude from that? When people say they paved over and it's a legitimate question that then gets bogged down in distractions. They paved over the crime scene after 4 days. First of all, people misinformed. Say it's after 2 days. Like, no, it's actually after 4 days. Oh, you're fed slopper. They were talking about doing it after. They were talking about doing it after 2 days. All right, okay, good. So they talked about it after 2 days. They did it after 4 days. What do you decipher from that? People in the chat are saying they dug up the explosive microphone material. That's the evidence of the exploding mic. And if people don't understand, that is an unfalsifiable theory at this point. That the evidence that I have was removed, and that they removed it is the evidence that it existed. And I had asked the question, like, why? I do think it's suspicious. The university, after 4 days, apparently without notifying the FBI or state authorities, cleaned up and dug up the crime scene. And I say, it is a little suspicious. Why would they have done that? I say, like, people get shot in malls. The mall gets closed down for a day, 2 days. A highway, they open up the highway. If there's a crime on the highway, they're not going to shut down the highway for 4 days. So at what point in time do you just get to reopen a public space? And then people say, well, why did they dig it up? They dug it up because they were excavating the evidence of an exploding mic. And then I realized it. It's like, if you don't believe the investigation for 4 days is going to produce any fruits, you're going to have people showing up there indefinitely, taking their own soil samples to then go test the soil for their own explosive materials. And you're going to have people turning that scene into, a year's worth of everybody and anybody coming to do their own investigation and basically make that piece of public land at a university unusable. And then I actually understood why they might have done it so quickly.
You're drawing a very
but
you're reaching there.
No, I'm not reaching.
They could have put up a 10-foot. They could have put up a chain link fence.
But how long do they shut down a site that's been the scene of a crime?
I don't know. But again,
by the way, if you don't trust them, they could shut it down for a year and you will still not trust them. So shutting it down for a year, it'll just give them more time to cover up the crime.
Sure.
That's unfalsifiable.
You could draw that conclusion, yes. But again, if you take the position that everything that is to be presented and or analyzed must have a logical conclusion as to its meaning or significance, then we can't really do anything. It's like, we don't know why they dug it up. But here's the thing. It's like the lead investigator said that he didn't even know that it got dug up until he saw it in the news. That's the lead investigator. Your crime scene just got dug up and replaced with pavers 4 days later.
But isn't the theory that they were directed to do it by the investigators? Like
that's what the guy that allegedly did it. That's what he said. That they were directed to do so by some other higher up organization. That's what he said. Now, could that guy be lying? Sure.
No. Well, I said the third party hearsay is different than lying. This is like he said, she said, and I was told this as I was paving it. But the issue is this: like, this is what I mean by an unfalsifiable conspiracy that will always allow you to draw your conclusions. I would agree. Destroying it after one day, you could not have gathered the evidence. I don't know what protocol is. They hosed down the roof in Butler, and we all thought that was suspicious. But I think that was the day of, if not the day after. And then the question is going to be obviously like, what evidence are you going to glean from the blood on the roof? Samples? I don't know. You had the body, so you could do the tests. 4 days. All right. Now whether or not the university did it, in a hurried fashion without running it by the authorities is one thing. If you operate on the theory that maybe the university wanted to cover up their potential culpability, and so they want to just get rid of this and make sure that nobody else can come back and, I don't know, glean whatever, that one can entertain, and that I do entertain, for the idiots in the chat calling me a cuck. I can entertain that because I do believe the university had some culpability in the lack of security and potentially activists within having advanced knowledge of this. But then, the question is, okay, so it was torn up. You think it was too early after 4 days. If you don't trust the investigation, they could have frozen that piece of land and turned it into a museum. You would never trust any fruits of an investigation after 4 years or 4 days.
Yeah, but you're saying if you don't trust the investigation, as if simply trying to figure out why and asking why is a sign that you distrust the investigation.
No, so now the question has been asked and it's been answered, which is that they wanted to reopen it to the public. 4 days had gone by. They got all the evidence that they needed, and you don't need to shut it off indefinitely. That's the answer.
Did they definitively say that?
Yeah, well, that's my understanding of the answer. I mean, I always qualify it because maybe I misunderstood.
Well, I haven't seen them say that. I haven't seen whoever ordered it. I haven't seen that been definitively stated who ordered it. It's one thing to open it up. It's another thing to materially change it.
No, but it's over. Like at some point, an active crime scene is no longer active. The only question is going to be, is 4 days enough? But then the question is, if you don't trust the investigation, it's never going to be enough. And so the answer that's been given is, but again, so at least this is the issue. I agree, and I would never blame anybody for saying that's a little bit too fast. There might have been, if you think there was another shooter, maybe you'd find another bullet in the ground and they dug up there. I mean, there you can sort of again, but then hypothesizing that it was dug up to hide trap doors or to conceal the explosive material. Again, I think the problem is I'll repeat it, but I think it is as a result of this that the legitimate lines of concern get lumped together and disregarded by anybody, and that it all ends up looking like the same gobbledygook of looking for space lasers type thing. But okay, so the tearing up of the ground, the taking of the SD card, and I'm not going to hold you to this because I think it might not have been an accurate description. People were asking, who was it that took out the SD card from the camera?
I believe it was Tara Farnsworth.
Okay, and so people are saying, why would he do that? That's crazy. And the answer that was given was he didn't want anybody stealing that SD card, not the camera, and doing whatever with it, uploading it to the internet, so that the lefties who were celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination can have their circle jerks and watch it like murder porn. So that's the explanation given.
Okay.
That explanation is not satisfactory indicates that one will never be satisfied with the answer. What do you think is suspicious about Farnsworth, taking the SD card for the reason that he stated?
I think that what you're doing is you're taking a piece of information and you're making it like the most extreme version of that. Again, you have to, as far as it relates to me, you have to just say that we do not know the purpose and or the end result or significance of one action to the next. We have not reached that conclusion yet where we can accurately draw that. And because some people go crazy about it, it's just that we just have to look at what is presented. He took the SD cards because he didn't want people to steal it, but left the $3,000, $4,000 camera there.
It wasn't the camera. It was the material on that. And had he not given it to the FBI, then I would say that's very suspicious. But then he gives it to the FBI, and then people say, well, I don't trust the FBI, so now they're all falsifying this video.
Well, yeah, and maybe his explanation makes sense, but it's like, okay, you didn't want people to get the footage. All right, well, there was 3,000 people there with camera phones, so the footage got out. The way more,
but I
way more
that.
gruesome footage got out. So
no, but I appreciate that there were 3,000 people with cameras,
Yeah.
and everyone looked to the area of the shot, and yet you still have people.
no, they did not.
Oh, they did.
Everyone looked to the area of the shot. That's
Well,
not accurate.
the people that were recording on video immediately looked to the area of the shot and panned the camera over, as did most people looking back. And so, so there were 3,000 people with cameras, and yet somehow, people are denying that it was a projectile, a 30-06. Again, that I can understand people's disagreement, but people are still denying it was, or at least questioning whether or not it was a projectile because they don't believe the results of the autopsy, which is where we've entered the realm of, it's not just that people don't believe anymore. It's people believe the opposite or believe that they can believe whatever they want because they no longer believe. It's like, I want to believe whatever I want, and my distrust empowers me to believe whatever I want.
Okay, so I'm just saying that it's like, even if every single person, which they didn't, but even if every single person looked back in that general direction, well, here's a reasonable response to that. If everybody is looking at a place in the front and a guy gets shot, and you see in your peripheral vision, you didn't see a guy draw a weapon and fire, one is to conclude that you would look outside of your field of vision, which is behind you. So in the event that a guy gets shot in front of you and you don't see any evidence as to where they got shot, you would turn around and be like, where did that come from? So that just because they look there, that doesn't necessarily prove anything either, even if everybody did do that. And maybe it's the sound, maybe not, but again, it's like you're using this unprovable thing as some type of evidence, yet all these other things that we can't prove are not evidence.
Oh my God, Viva, you are believing the Fed slap. I don't block people, but if I don't know if this is a troll, maybe it's a joke. If you unironically use the word Fed slop, you are part of what I consider to be the operation here to actually just sow total chaos by promoting,
But now you're saying they're in an operation. What evidence do you have to prove they're in an operation?
It's one of three things. To repeat something that is demonstrably false makes someone, unintelligent, a bot, or a troll. One of the three.
Maybe they're pooping and they don't care. They're like, that's up, because it's just,
yep, I'm on the toilet.
They're pooping. I'm just saying, it's like, if we always go back to that, when it's like, what did somebody yell from the rafters? It's like, we just get lost in the mix. Like, yeah, there's people that are saying stupid stuff. Maybe they're bots, maybe they're trolls.Maybe it's just a guy having a bad day that's like, bad slap. Who knows? It doesn't matter.
Everyone should understand, Bobby, it's not that you are more, I find it more reasonable. I say the thing that, my only criticism, it's just my observation is, if we were to go look at any criminal prosecution, any crime and criminal prosecution, we would probably find 10,000, mistakes, absolute oversights, acts of stupidity by the police.
Yes.
And then to say, well, then you can go to the cases where there's overt corruption, like placing of a gun, framing of an individual, adding of a hair. What's the guy's name who allegedly killed his wife on the boat? And they found him by one hair in his fishing pliers. Come on, the guy. He went to jail for life. Chat's going to get it.
I don't know.
He's the white guy, good looking. I'm going to go to locals. They're going to get it. But so, scrutinizing any case, especially one of national importance, we all might be flabbergasted at how many mistakes, oversights, incompetencies we would find in any prosecution anywhere. And there are some legitimate questions. Then I think some questionable distractions. And I don't think you're anywhere near the Egyptian planes, sniper from a drone type thing. I just think, the question you're asking is, how could they have done that? How could the body cam go off? You scrutinize any investigation, you'll probably find a shit ton of stuff. My conspiracy, which is, for those who think I'm Fed slopping, when Joe Kent, who says Kash Patel didn't pursue an investigation into a foreign nexus,
stopped him.
Yeah, no, and to the extent that that's true, you have to, operate on the basis it may not be true. It might be true that he did investigate, but just told Kent to piss off.
Sure.
People run with the foreign nexus on that, but there might be a domestic nexus that might be discovered through any sort of tangential investigation that might make Kash not want to pursue it to the extent that he didn't. It's like, that is curious in terms of limiting the scope of the investigation. You know who Richard Barris is? People's Pundit?
Mm-mm.
He's a pollster, but he has more insider information. He mentioned on the channel that he was personally offended and insulted because he knew Charlie, and he was told that one of the reasons why they were limiting an investigation was to make sure they at least got a conviction against Tyler Robinson. And so,
which would be that's happened lots of times.
No, for sure. Like you don't want to. Maybe Lance Twiggs had a more active role, and I don't know how they could, confuse responsibility for a jury to say, well, I don't know who did what, and so therefore, so you can understand that, and that's where where I think I get frustrated with some of this noise, which tries to make it impossible to have these meaningful discussions. But George Zinn, the guy that was arrested there, the old pervert with CSAM on his phone, who happened to be there by a stroke of coincidence, whose first reaction after the shooting was to say, I did it, so that he could let the real gunman get away. No one's going to make me believe that that's a coincidence.
Okay,
but
cool.
Why?
Hell yeah! Now we're getting somewhere.
Like the question is this: why aren't people pursuing that? Why aren't people pursuing that? But rather, who Ben Shapiro had lunch with?
Well, they are pursuing that, but they are.
No, but who is actually?
Well, how far are you going to go? I mean, it's the guy was there. It's very peculiar that he was there. He announced his involvement or blamed himself for it immediately. Everybody has footage showing that he did that. He was arrested in a way that, or for a grouping of material that happens to be, in a lot of people's opinions, artificially placed on a lot of people's phones to discredit their position. The nurses or whatever in the hospital that allegedly said that he did it because he was getting some promise of payment, that lead is there. The information is presented. I don't know that there's anything more that can be done about that. Again, it's just a piece of information that's placed on the shelf. No, I don't know how far you could go beyond that.
Oh, I'll tell you where you can go beyond that. Okay, that's a piece of information. That's I say, reasonably concise, reasonably specific, and plausible. I like, so the guy this old pervert was there. He had CSAM on his phone. It could either be planted there or he had it on his phone because he's a fucking old pervert. He's in a Discord chat with a bunch of teenager drug addicts, sexually, devious fiends, at LARPing as a young person in a Discord chat. Their discussion online about what's going to happen, something big's going to happen because people knew in advance.
Yep.
He goes there knowing something big's going to happen. His lover, or someone he's have an internet amorous relationship with, is there. The shot happens. He then says, "I'm going to be a hero and let the guy escape by making this actually happened." So it's not like I'm making anything up. And the guy allows the real gunman to get away. Real gunman, after confessing to Lance, goes to meet him that night and
allegedly.
Well, no, I again, I don't.
Well, allegedly.
Well, yeah, allegedly we haven't gotten to trial yet, and so you have Lance, who's with advanced foreknowledge of engraving of fascist, anti-fascist, whatever
a month before the thing even got announced.
No, true, but
super weird.
No, but the social media comments, I believe, were the week before.
Yeah,
so all of that tells a reasonably plausible story. And the question then becomes, I was that fully investigated? They say yes. I'm not convinced about that, but now that not trusting the Fed slop narrative gets lumped together with what is objectively easier to write off in terms of untenability and unfalsifiability, which translates into untenability.
I just don't think that associating the fact that there is cloudiness here with the fact that with the things that we're talking about, I don't know that that's beneficial. We just have to assume that that's baked into the cake. Like, yes, people are saying stupid things. Yes, it gets lumped into narratives. Yes, there's nefarious actors on either side of it that are saying it's one thing or the other. But I don't know that point needs to be, belabored anymore. It's like, yeah, it gets lumped in with people saying stupid stuff.
Here, let me see this. I'm not used to seeing nice comments anymore in the chat. What is it? Viva, I only found your stream recently, and I find you to be a totally honest person. The issue I have with you is that you over-intellectualize things. Loving this conversation. There's nothing wrong with I don't think I've ever been accused of over-intellectualizing, but over-scrutinizing, yes. I'm a lawyer. I'm a former lawyer. Like, these are where I say, like, okay, you're asking a question. What do you conclude? Assume your premise is true. What do you conclude from it now? One of the big questions people say is, where's the shirt? And I say, okay, fine. From what I understand, the shirt was cut off either on the way to hospital or at the hospital.
That's not what they said.
Well, I know. Well, I say that
Brian Harpole said he cut it off him at the hospital.
Yeah, but I don't find anything wild about that. Like, is that Fed slop garbling? Like, what's the problem with that?
Somebody goes to a hospital
Harple is his security, right? It's his security team.
didn't
So
didn't do such a good job of security.
But that's a separate issue also that fits into my theory of the case, which is that they were told by campus security that they had that roof covered, and they didn't. When you were talking with Kyle and you said, well, they were told they couldn't fly drones around, but that they were lying, TPUSA, because they flew drones around. My understanding is that TPUSA was told they could fly drones for promotional stuff before the event, but during the event they couldn't because they had their own drones and they had their own security to cover the roof, and they didn't. And to me, that fits into a let it happen on purpose so that some guy could get on the most easily accessible roof to take the shot. But
he said they can't fly drones. He's like, we could not fly drones because of some law, and there were drones.
No, well, that's the thing.
But that's what he said. He's like, we can't fly drones. I'm not going to go against the local law enforcement. I don't make the rules. It's their campus.
At what point? Because my understanding is what he said, but they couldn't fly drones during the event, but
he didn't say that.
Promotional. Okay,
he didn't say that. He just said we cannot fly drones. That's what he said.
Okay, but we can see they got they got content from drones before the event, correct?
Yes.
I mean, I think that's out there.
Yes.
So did he miss? So, like, what do you conclude from that? So
someone
misspeaks once. They had video. They flew a drone before, not during.
We're never going to get anywhere if you keep going. If you keep going back to and not acknowledging the thing that I already said. You can't ask me to draw a current conclusion about the meaning of something. I've made it more than clear that is not the position that any of us are in at this stage. I can't tell you why. All I can say is this is a piece of information that's worthy of knowing. It is a puzzle. It is a puzzle piece that may or may not be relevant to this puzzle, but we are acknowledging it, making a note of it, and placing it to the side. I don't know what it means. It's just very suspicious. And it's like if you have an available rooftop with a pure line of sight and you trust some other organization to protect it, and you don't even go double check to make sure the guy's up there, then what good is your multi-million-dollar security team? Your job is to keep this guy safe. If you can't fly drones and there's a rooftop that's available and you tell some guy says he's going to do it, but you don't even go double check when you were there week in advance casing the place, you would say, we got to abort Mish. Well, we don't know if this rooftop's covered. We got to get out of here. Our importance is saving your life.
No, but I say you'd think that, especially after Butler, but then you'd think that, and in Butler, you had your Pac-Man perimeter, a dude flying a drone, a known threat for well in advance, failure to communicate. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that also was a let it happen on purpose. But
what evidence do you have? What does it mean?
But I could answer that question in terms of you want to kill the president and you have a dude who is a loose cannon who's been maybe radicalized and maybe trained, because he was at a firing range with other professionals.
What evidence do you have?
I have that evidence, but I can always answer that question.
What do you hate, kids? What do you hate, teenagers? What are you anti-teen edic or what?
But then the question is going to be, is it negligence from his security team, which I'm sure they feel that it is. I mean, I watched Harple on Sean Ryan. I'm sure they feel it's negligence that they didn't secure the roof because they were told and didn't verify. Then the question is going to be, if they were told they didn't verify, but the roof was left unsecured, that fits into the other, people let it happen on purpose and facilitated an access point for Tyler Robinson or a lookalike, a clone, Lance Twiggs to double for him, whatever, if you want to go down there. But that doesn't go to, this is why it doesn't go to, it wasn't a bullet fired from that angle. It goes to, how did they not secure the most easy access point where he could just jump on it to take the shot? That was the easiest point. So that question contradicts some of the other hypotheses that are being floated around, which are predicated on the fact that he didn't shoot from that roof, which was the easiest access point and was left vulnerable. You appreciate that point.
You're saying that it contradicts other hypotheses, but again, to go back, my position is not that I have a hypothesis. My position is that we are in an information gathering stage of which each individual piece of evidence in and of itself is separate than every other piece of evidence. The collection of all of this evidence and its purported meaning or non-meaning is undetermined at this stage. So if it disproves some other hypothesis, fine, but I'm not making that hypothesis. I'm just collecting it, not knowing where or what its significance is in the whole thing. It's like in the event that the guy got on the roof, that doesn't necessarily prove that it was a shot from there. It just proves that a guy got on the roof.
Well, that's the. I mean, this
it
is
could
also
prove that it was a shot, but maybe it's not. I don't know. We don't know yet, and more of this information will likely make sense when the
Well,
trial comes out.
come trial. That's
Right.
let me just make sure I'm getting
So the
old, but-
hypothesis and the assignment of meaning at this stage is of relatively low importance unless you believe that all collection is either A, of malintent, or B, is purposeless unless you know what it means.
Well, no, the issue is going to be twofold. There is malicious distraction. I believe there is, and
In your opinion?
yeah, well, I mean, and in reality, there's malicious distraction. The only question is it organized or is it just people taking shits and trolling?
You could say there's malicious distraction coming from for lack of a better word, the Fed slop side of things as well. You're evil for saying this. You hate Jews. It's like
I would even concede that when Posobiec and Benny Johnson came out with the videos saying, I could see it clear as day. First of all, I immediately knew. I didn't quote post any of it because, first of all, I wanted to double check what exactly they saw at court. Immediately knew the problem that was going to cause, and how they're going to be accused of nobody's going to say hyperbole because you don't get the benefit of the doubt in this
lying.
No, I'll say you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt from the people who think you're Fed slop agents. They're going to get called liars. And
I mean, they are Fed slop agents, not necessarily just with this, but with a lot of other stuff.
They are
this interpretation.
I say other than that particular issue, which
they're
is
like, President Trump is so handsome in his hat. It's like, okay.
Well, and
that's like they're the types of people that say stuff like that. But
well, no, okay, yeah. Well, I can't.
Isn't he the best?
Like, well, what was it when Benny was? What's it called when he mogged the plane mogging?
Oh God.
Which is whatever. It's to each their own. No, that I can wholly concede that people are going to say they're trying to convince us of something which is not reality. That it was not a new video. It was 4K and maybe it was enhanced, and enhanced video has its own problems. I interpret it as I presume they intended it, which is the man identified. You can see the man identified as Tyler on the roof. And I appreciate people saying, well, I can't identify that as being Tyler, but this is where you put the pieces together come trial time, where Lance Twiggs says, yeah, those last two pictures are definitely him, or at least I could definitely recognize him in those last two pictures. Then they say, okay, well, so he's been identified. That figure that's been identified is on the roof taking the shot because it happens at the minute the shot was taken. Yeah, I could understand how people are going to make hay of that, especially given who they are and how they said it. But then you got so get past that.
Well, they said it definitively. Whatever. They said it definitively. There is a 4K video of Tyler Robinson taking the shot. You can see it. It's 4K.
They said, I'm not defending them for the sake of I'm not even defending them. They said in 4K, and then the question, people say 4K as in almost not like a metaphor for high definition. Which
it wasn't high definition. It wasn't.
Yeah, no, I don't know. They might have enhanced it, but then enhanced video has its own problems because the enhanced picture of Tyler Robinson, everyone says, look, it's not Tyler Robinson because the lips don't match, not understanding they were looking at an AI enhanced video from the surveillance. Look, this is why I think these types of, well, first of all, you also have the benefit of not having said some of the outlandish things that other people have. And platform some of the outlandish people who said objectively wrong things that have been objectively disproven, that were objectively distracting and discrediting, and then just move on from it.
Well, I don't know that I have the benefit. That's not a benefit. That's intentional. That's
no,
me,
I know.
That's me having care for the shit that I say.
That's why I think you're more amenable to these discussions than some of the people who have been less than judicious with some of the accusations.
Yes, and that exists in everything all the time, and we've already, we acknowledge that. Yes.
What was the other thing? Fort Hachua, that meeting has been thoroughly disproven, correct?
I don't think that it's been thoroughly disproven. No.
What was the purpose or the thought of the secret meeting at Fort Hachua that Erica Kirk allegedly attended?
I don't believe that anybody has ever said that she attended it either.
So what was the? Explain that to me. I think I need to jog my memory.
The general overview of it was this guy that Mitch Snow went to this military base to gather some type of information about something else related to himself. Was not connected to this case, didn't know Erica Kirk from a hole in the wall. And he went there to this base on this particular day, and he spotted what appeared to be some type of top brass type meeting of which he was not allowed to be in. And then what he indicated, of which who the hell knows, but he said that he saw what he believed to be Erica Kirk at, I believe, the hotel that was either on the base or near the base in the lobby, and he remembered her. And he felt obligated to explain this information to Candace. Who knows whether he's completely full of shit or not? And I don't know that. And what Candace, whether or not you take Candace at her word for some things or the other, is she seemed to prove that he was in fact there on that day. He was at that hotel. He provided the necessary receipts and video evidence to prove that he was there, and that she believes that he was there. Whether or not he saw Erica Kirk is unprovable. And whether or not he saw someone else is unprovable. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, here's a piece of information. I vetted that he was there. I did the best that I can. Maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. I don't know. But to say that like that piece of information that discredits the rest, I think is completely goes in contrary to what I've been saying this whole time, which is that we don't know what this is. And in the event that we are conducting, let's say, or we are all taking part in a crowdsourced open source investigation, if we were all sitting around a table in an office, we could say, why did they go there on that day? Maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. Let's follow that lead. I don't know. Let's put it on the shelf for later. It's in the logs, and maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. So I think that that's what it was. Has it been disproven? No, but it hasn't been proven outright. It's been proven that he was there, supposedly, but who knows what it means? Maybe it means nothing. Maybe it didn't happen at all.
Well, I think my recollection, I just want to double check, is that it didn't happen at all. And then the question is whether or not he was even there, or has not been proven to be a thoroughly unreliable individual upon whom a salacious detail was exploited for a circus at the time, much like other theories that have faded out as we move on to new ones.
So there's two things there. One is to characterize Candace's intent. You're saying it's, to keep the circus going, to get another piece of information, which implies that she's doing it for fame or money or to keep the show going. So you're assigning intent to Candace revealing this or putting this information out there. So I don't know that that's really fair. And the second thing is like, okay, well, it's like, again, not to reference this, and I know people kind of freaked out when I mentioned this before. They're like, oh, this guy thinks HBO is real life. No, it's just an example that we all understand. Well, it's like, how many times have you seen in like a murder mystery show where it's like, oh, you kill this person. It's like, what are they going to believe? You're a crackhead. And it's like, they just say, they say, well, this person's information can't be trusted because they are not trustworthy for X, Y, or Z reason. It doesn't necessarily mean that what they're saying is untrue. Just because you think that this guy had a bad relationship with his ex and maybe says dumbass shit on X, does that mean he's lying? Maybe not.
Bobby, do you mind coming that we went for longer than I thought. Do you want to come to Locals after party and field some questions?
Sure.
But now, before we go there, I'm going to read a couple here, and then you're going to tell everybody who you are and where they can find you one more time. I should do it in the middle of the show. I keep forgetting to do it, like sort of like radio. Hey, we're here with Bobby. Where can people find you? But we'll get here in a second. We got King of Biltong says, skip the gas station junk food while traveling. Pack Biltong from Biltong USA, clean, protein-packed, grass-fed, air-dried beef with great flavor. Go to biltongusa.com. Code VIVA, 10% off. URS8243. Viva, I've been following you since your boy was a baby. I'm not a shill or a bot. You are wrong on this one. Well, thank you, but that's substantiveless or substanceless. Wrong on what? Wrong how?
Just saying they believe they disagree with your position.
But what's my position?
Well, you should know your own position.
I know my own position. I fleshed it out thoroughly. My position also is that a lot of disinformation and a lot of people running with it and a lot of people begging other people to run with it so they can be discredited. Whether or not the intent is profit or entertainment, the result is daily show every day for the last 10 months to a year. And that doesn't happen unless you find something new after the old thing fizzles out. Egyptian planes, trap doors, the receipt, which we still haven't seen yet, but we're told exists and people take for gospel, which just drives me nuts. It's like people think just as, sorry?
There's photos of it.
There's photos of a blurred out fucking receipt, Bobby. That proves absolutely nothing.
Well, they blurred out the credit card number. Yeah.
They blurred out any information that would allow you to identify what it was, and ignoring the fact that it actually runs contrary to the testimony of the waiter who was there that says he saw Tyler Robinson and ordered 2 beers. And then, by the way, let me bring this up. This is what drives me crazy. I asked the question. I was like, all right, so he said he saw him have 2 beers, but he didn't serve him. Where are the beers on that receipt? Then I start seeing slop, and I'll use the word slop because it's incorrect information saying, well, it's Utah. They have weird alcohol rules. They do. You can't serve alcohol if it constitutes more than 30% of the meal. And by separating the alcohol on the bill, it would translate it into 100% of the other bill. So they can't split the alcohol, period. So now people have to pivot from that excuse to say, no, I still want to believe he was there because I want to believe Tyler was innocent, that he couldn't have driven 3 hours. So the waiter who positively identified him was wrong about the 2 beers that he ordered. I mean, this is where and then what happened with that theory? Did people just move on from it?
I think that it's part, again, of the compilation of evidence that is to be proven or disproven. Like, just because it's like, if you discuss a thing, if the guy went there, he interviewed the guy said definitively that's him. Okay, this is just a piece of information. The thing that's weird about it is, and it's like, again, you have to suppose that people are saying something true. Maybe if the guy is just
I do believe he's saying something true. He thinks he might have seen Tyler there.
Right. So
the guy that he saw had 2 beers. There were no 2 beers. So what do we conclude from that? But I get called a Fed slopper for asking questions of the people who are just asking questions. It drives me nuts that they don't realize they are exactly what they are describing me as being in their view. Or I'm not trying to shut down any discussion. Keep talking because I'll know who to listen to in the future.
Right. Well, it goes back to, somebody saying something, but in the event that the guy was telling the truth and there was a receipt, then let's hear an explanation for the beers. This guy identified Tyler Robinson with 100% certainty. His own boyfriend didn't identify Tyler Robinson on the video with 100% certainty.
Well, first of all, he didn't.
That's
do
peculiar.
No, this waiter didn't do 100% certainty. Tyler,
pretty sure that's what he said. I heard him say that.
Well, first of all, if he did, all the better, because then it makes the beers even more incomprehensible. But Lance definitely, he said, those last 2 pictures definitely could identify him. The owner of the restaurant said it wasn't him. He wasn't there, and that the feds didn't follow up on it.
That's weird. It's weird that they didn't follow up on it. It's weird that the defense didn't.
It's not weird if they didn't follow up on it because there was nothing to follow up on. It is weird if the defense didn't follow up on it and they did have something to follow up on.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. And again, all of this falls right in congruence with what I'm saying, which is that this is good. We're gathering information collectively as a collective. That guy went there on his own dime to interview that guy. Cool. It's a piece of information that we would have otherwise not gotten. And the other solution to this, the opposite solution to this is, well, do nothing and the experts are in charge. Let's wait until the trial to say nothing.
I appreciate
this is good. Wrong or not?
I think it's good until it's not, and I think it's been not good, in certain elements. Viva, you're stating unequivocally that the receipt is fake. That's unreasonable. Did I state that the receipt was fake? Like, Bobby, am I going fucking crazy, or did I actually say that the receipt is fake? I didn't say the receipt is. I bet you it is a real receipt.
No,
but I don't know that
they're just saying that the implication is that you're suggesting that it's fake.
It's probably a real receipt.
He doesn't mean that the receipt itself is fake. He's just saying that you believe that it is a lie.
We are told that they saw the receipt. Now they've conveniently worded it to say, I saw the receipt. He ate at that restaurant. They didn't say that the receipt proves it, because the question is going to be, if it doesn't have his name on it, and people say, Viva, why would it have his name on it? Well, how the hell did they identify that? Okay, so the bank record. They don't want to show us the last 4 digits of his credit card. Trust me, bro, I saw the receipt.
But the bank record will determine this.
I agree. And I agree.
Right.
And if he was at the restaurant and his defense team didn't pursue it and didn't raise it, that's a question. And I've literally been told, I think Elizabeth Lane is going to come on tomorrow, by some, that the defense team is throwing it too because the defense is in on it, or the defense is holding it back for the trial because God forbid you should try to actually raise these issues at the probable cause and to spare someone a trial that might lead to the death penalty.
Yeah.
We got rated by Toasty with the Mosty 69. Let me see what's going on here. This doesn't look good. This does not look, speaking of kosher, I'm joking. That looks very, Toasty, thank you. Yeah. Toasty with the Mosties. Okay. Everyone, I don't know who it is, but check out the channel. Let me know. Yeah. Good conversation, Bobby. I have a question. When a majority of the audience of people like Ian and Candace are coming to a conclusion with these questions, is there any responsibility of the hosts?
Responsibility of what? Do
you agree with the premise that the majority of Candace and Ian's audience are coming to conclusions based on these questions?
I can't speak for the majority of the audience. Who knows what's the majority? The vast majority, significant portion. The vast majority of people that consume content online do not write comments. Statistically.
Oh, Toasty with the Mosty. I rated Toasty last night.
I don't even know what that means.
No, Raid is on Rumble. Well, now I definitely have to go check the channel because I think Oh no, I hope the channel's kid friendly because otherwise I'm going to be in big trouble.
My presumption is it is not.
I have to go. We'll go
like
look at that in the local
Big
after
Jug
party.
69. It's like I hope it's clean.
Oh, geez, there was a. I'll save this for the after party. Bobby, where can people find you before we go to the?
Yeah.
Local.
So at Take Naps on Instagram, at Take Naps on X. You can go find all my socials. I'm on every platform, and just go to followbobby.com. But I just want to, for the people that are available on the free stream, could we have like a final comment for them?
Oh, yeah.
That won't come to the whatever.
Wait, please.
Okay.
From you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you could.
go for
You,
it.
you
I
could,
know. Do it. Go
you
for
could
it.
do whatever.
As you say this, I'm
Your
going to
show.
Toasty with the Mosty 69 right
Yeah,
now.
you're like, you go look at Toasty with the Mosties Rumble channel while I espouse my fake beliefs. Okay, what I would just say is that what I think is important is to not associate every person that cares about justice for Charlie Kirk with some type of fringe element that makes you believe that they have nefarious intent. Don't let people intimidate you or scare you or make you feel some type of way because you are interested in justice for Charlie Kirk and you are interested in justice for a fellow American citizen that's facing the death penalty. There's nothing wrong with looking into this information. There's nothing wrong or of ill intent to try to pay attention to something that is of great consequence. So don't let people belittle you for that. Conversation out in the open is almost always good. It was something that Charlie spoke about frequently, and it would be to his honor to ask questions about these things. Just because some people take it the wrong way can't negate your ability to look for truth in things. I think that is very important. On top of all that, just understand that conversation about these things and things being out in the open will potentially play in a multitude of other ways beyond just the case itself, which is to the credibility of the people that are talking about it, commenting on it, going to the court cases, or will potentially financially benefit down the line from speeches or events or sharing their content. And the purpose of this is not just to find whether or not Tyler Robinson is guilty, but it is to find justice for Charlie Kirk, and it is to find the truth, wherever that truth may lead, and that collecting this information in a crowdsourced way is not of ill intent, is not bad, and generally we should all be open to these discussions. And on top of that, we should be the first ones to admit if we were wrong, if it comes out that definitive proof suggests that the thing that we said was not there. So just keep researching, keep asking questions. This is good. This is healthy. And in the event that Tyler Robinson is guilty, we should all be willing to say, yep, there it is. And that's that. We want the truth. That's all.
First of all, I agree with everything wholeheartedly. And I would add that also applies even to those who are being called Fed slopper, Zionist, BB Buck shills. Don't be intimidated into questioning the questioners because I'm not trying to be glib anymore. Yes, the truth is the most important thing. I do feel that some of the noise is either deliberate, a happy accident, a profitable accident. And I think a lot of people forget intent. The outcome is the same. It's a distraction, and it happens to be, either profitable or a satisfying distraction for the trolls on the internet who are sitting there and just trying to call everybody a Zionist that they disagree with.
But the profit narrative, I just feel like is just like it's like a nothing thing. It's like Candace already had a profitable show. She's got a show that she has every day. That's her job.
But it doesn't stay profitable by not.
I would argue that her show would be more profitable in the long term had she just accepted the Fed narrative and said nothing.
I can tell you from the perspective of someone who's been questioning those who question things, that's not true. So
okay, well, that's your opinion.
It's not my opinion. It's not my opinion.
Yes, it is.
There are analytics. It would be far more profitable for people to jump on the exploding mic. That's not unprovable at all. Then.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's unprovable. It is unprovable for this reason. Candace Owens already was successful at speaking, writing books, had a show, had millions of followers, already got a ton of access and a ton of information online, and would likely get paid for the remainder of her life based on that. Was already making money. In the event that she is categorically wrong, proven beyond a reasonable doubt for all this stuff to be bullshit, I believe that the long-term implication and downward effect on her income potential over the remainder of her life is severely affected. So whatever she may be objectively earning more in the present day would be severely affected to the negative over the rest of her life. If she had said nothing at all, I think she would have made more in the aggregate.
It's a big concession to acknowledge that it's a massive boost and spike right now.
For now. Yeah, but it's also a potential downside risk.
It's a definitive. I can tell you this without a doubt. It would be cooler on the internet. It would be more profitable. It would be better for followers for me to say, "Oh, is it? Yeah, the exploding microphone is." It's not that I can guarantee
for now.
For now,
Until
some people.
You're wrong. If you were wrong,
no, but look,
devastating.
Unfortunately, people have been wildly wrong about a great many things, and people still come to them because whatever. Okay, set that aside. We're gonna go to Viva, Barnes Law, and Rumble Premium, so nobody's gonna get totally shut out of the stream. Bobby, thank you. Thank you very much. I do love this, and I think you are sincerely an honest and good faith player in all of this.
Thank you.
I'm updating the stream. And nothing happens to us on this end, Bobby. Okay. So let's go. I'm going to go to the chat, but hold on, there were other questions that I didn't ask. I wanted to talk about other stuff.
Okay.
So someone, and just like people say, like Viva, you're doing it too. I specifically go out of my way to make sure that I talk about other stuff at least 5 days a week. And I don't. I mean, I don't like this, but then people say, well, Viva, why don't you have a discussion with X, Y, and Z? And then you do it, and they say you're profiting off it too. I would first of all, I would rather. I would like to analyze the meaningful things. I put my questions out there. At some point, you realize you're not going to get any further, not with people, but with the questions. Like, okay, what am I going to do? I don't have any FBI moles. I don't have any insiders who are leaking me information. Not that I would even feel comfortable taking it. So I said, like, okay, FBI. I sincerely believe there were other people on that Discord chat of relevance. I can't prove it. I'm told that it's not the case. Do I believe the FBI when they tell me that that's not the case? About as much as I believe them when they say that Epstein killed himself. Like, I don't. Or if they say that he killed himself, that it wasn't a facilitated suicide. So but where do I go from there? Asking questions about trapdoors in Egyptian planes are not going to get me answers where I think the answers should be pursued. Bull fucking shit, Bobby. George Zinn did not know any of these people beforehand. It would be astronomical to the point of disbelievability that this old pervert who has, CSAM on it, so I presume it would have been there on its own because he was into it, that he just shows up, that do we know where George Zinn was in proximity to Charlie when he was shot?
I don't know for sure. No, I know that he was relatively close, but I don't know where he was. No.
Well, that's because I'm wondering, like, could he have even seen it from his vantage point, or did he just hear a shot go off? And then I don't know. Yeah, that I'd love to. I mean, I'm going to see if I can discover that on my, figure that out. But that he's there and then says, I did it to let the guy kill me, shoot me. And then I shot, like, it's impossible. And then he says, I did it to let the real shooter get away. That's like, it's inconceivable, as that guy said in Princess Bride. Let me see if there's questions. There's questions over here. Let's do this on locals. Let me bring it up. And Bobby, you're not a sensitive man. I didn't. Nothing offended you in this conversation. I didn't come off too aggressive.
No,
I like it. It's I know, because I also think you are the middle ground of those asking the questions. It's like you haven't made outlandish statements that have been demonstrably proven false, and I don't go to the intent. I believe you're sincere, but even if you're not, you're going about it in a responsible manner, even if you had nefarious intent. P. Hans says, large conspiracy is difficult to sustain and execute. Loose lips sink ships. Lone wolves are the most likely crowd, or a group of radical activists. But people are saying that there's no evidence. Sorry, let me finish this. Lone wolves are the most likely crowdsourced. Investigations are not credible when they are filled with false information. People keep saying there's no evidence that Lance was a furry or a furry they were homosexuals. You are homosexual, right? There is evidence they were gay. That we don't have a problem with. People say there's no evidence he was a furry or trans. Now, I always thought that was not true. Like, there's a picture of him, whether it's just a one-off on Halloween in a rabbit suit or something, and he goes by Luna with some people. Is that not evidence of trans furry ideology?
I don't think so. I don't know that I don't know what's trans about that. He has a fuzzy onesie.
Well, I mean, he's transing into an animal. Like, what is trans? Doesn't have
well, that's a long conclusion. I mean,
we agree that there's a form of sexual deviancy just above and beyond homosexual relations. I guess,
is that a question?
I'm trying to see if that's a question. Do we?
I don't know.
Is that an accepted fact? But then I'm trying to think, like,
what is sexual deviancy? I mean,
anything other than missionary position with a woman.
Oh, then I'm a deviant. Who does that? That's like some Jeremy Boring type shit.
the 1 second of silence when you were not sure if I was being serious. I was joking, by the way. Okay. So this was P. Han says, I don't think Candace cares about her friend. She said she would stop if asked, and she has not. She lied and keeps lying to keep her audience engaged. That's my conclusion. It's my begrudging conclusion, because I gave Candace the benefit of the doubt for the longest time. I'll still defend her when I think she's right. I do think that what she's doing is malicious, malicious and dishonest, because she did say, so I'll stop if Erica tells me to stop. Erica tells her to stop. Well, now I'm not stopping because now I know her telling me to stop means there's something to cover up. Like it's endless. The drama from one dead end to another. Under the guise of what, but it doesn't matter. We don't need to belabor this. And les absents ont toujours tort. Those who are not there are always wrong. And she'll never come on for a discussion, but maybe one day she will. Why is Candace and those why is Candace and those building audiences of CK death? Why is Candace and those building audiences of Charlie Kirk's death trustworthy? Piance, do you remember when there was a Rittenhouse trial? There was the Johnny Depp, and people zoned in and honed in, and it became their niche for the trial. Then the trial's over. This I can appreciate people investigating it, but I do agree, if it becomes their branded sole purpose of existence and their sole purpose of income, there is a natural evolution that occurs whether you like it or not.
It's like such a false premise. It's like, here's a person that has a huge audience that's talking about the most consequential story of the moment. If the audience continues to grow, and it was already growing, and they talked about a lot of things, and once this case is over, they'll talk about other things, then is the fact that their audience is building based on the fact that they're talking about a highly contested, very important story.
That's
what good is that analysis?
It's the question of how it's done and whether or not it becomes. I mean, basically, the problem is, okay, hold on. On the one hand, for I don't think we'll disagree that Candace has been known for, she attacks subjects for an extended period of time, and is engaging in the way she creates the drama around the issue. Brigitte Macron being one, but then that story worked its way out, and you can only milk that. You can only exploit that or cover that for so long before an audience gets bored, and you got to move on to the next thing. And now she's been on this. And I would also say, like Ian, where you find out what grows the audience, and it's not audience capture, it's not necessarily malicious, it's just the organic nature of the way things develop. And we say, like, well, if I start talking about something else, they won't tune in. And so you just have to continue to do it. And like that was the case with some trial coverage. And then it was the mistake when the trial's over, the audience goes. And if I'm sure if Candace started talking about anything else right now, her audience and engagement would drop off a cliff. And so the trick is to always find something new and do it engagingly. And she's great at it. I just don't think it's particularly honest, given what I believe are the mistakes that she's made, without consequence.
You're entitled to that. You're entitled to that belief. And just because that maybe is true, because she's moved on to another subject matter, doesn't necessarily assign malintent or negate the information that was presented thus far. Like I watched, like when I was paying attention to the Karen Reed trial, which was a national story out of Massachusetts.
Oh yeah,
I watched a ton of different political analysis. I watched The Lawyer I watched Brother, I forget what his name is, Brother Attorney, I forget what his name is. I watched Stop or Buckle Up, Stop or whatever. There was a bunch of different YouTube channels that I watched every single day to get information about that trial. And it's not because.
Did you watch Emily Baker?
Yeah, and I found her to be very, very wrong. I think if Emily Baker is the person I'm thinking of, I made one video where I really
purple hair. She had a purple streak, glasses.
Oh no, yeah, no. I listened to her a little bit. No, the other person I'm thinking of is this other lady. I forget what her name was. I watched a little bit of Emily Baker, but I was more following the other people.
Yeah, no. Well, and Emily, use Emily as a good example because she does. What's the word? Diversify subject matter so that it doesn't get stuck on one thing, and when it's over, she did a lot of she was doing a lot of TikTok stuff, if I remember. That was for Karen Reed, wasn't it? I don't frequent TikTok at all. Okay, I wouldn't know.
I think she was on the side of Karen Reed is innocent, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah.
I didn't watch a lot of her stuff, but I do remember her being in the conversation. But I guess the point is that like here are analysts that are talking about a highly contested case that the people want to watch that content, me included. And after that case was over, I don't really watch their content that much anymore. So yeah, okay, but it doesn't mean that they're doing it to monetize it. And it's like when
No,
you
but they're not doing it for it. But and people are going to say Viva confession through projection. I, to my own detriment, make sure to cover a load of different stuff. Even if people say Viva, why the hell are you talking about something that nobody cares about today? You don't want to. It's just a natural progression. It happens organically. Like, okay, why would I talk about anything else other than what my audience wants to hear and what will grow my audience and ensure the livelihood that I've seen? It's natural. It's not even necessarily nefarious. At some point, it becomes a lawyer who doesn't settle a file because he wants to keep billing the clients type thing. Then it becomes nefarious.
Well, one reason that one could justify and or explain doing it beyond the, natural course of a subject matter is it was your friend. You have a deep emotional connection to its outcome.
Yeah.
And it's hard for you to let go of it. So like if my friend got assassinated, I don't care how many people tell me, this is boring, you're trying to monetize. I'm going to try to find out what I'm going to try to find out. And again, it's like, we don't know what it would be like to see that. And here's the other thing. And like, I don't want to introduce a variable that I cannot prove. I'm just doing it for the purpose. I'm just doing it for the purpose of exploring a possibility. What if Charlie Kirk talked on the phone to Candace 2 weeks before she died or a month before she died, and he said, my marriage is not going well, we're going to get a divorce. And, Erica's been acting weird.
Yeah, that would be a commencement of evidence, as we would say in the industry.
Okay, so like that would be mad weird. There's no evidence of it. She can't prove it. She knows it. So in the back of your mind, you have this stored there, and then when Erica says
that's called motivated reasoning, where you think it, and
so
so you're looking for it.
So what I'm trying to say is that like if that was you and it was your friend, and then she was out in the public saying that everybody's evil and doing things behind the scenes to tell people to take you off the speaking engagement at some event or whatever, her being like, she's evil, she's bad. It's like, okay, well, it's kind of happening in both directions. They're just saying like, Candace is bad. So it's like, I feel like the criticisms like that are like, that's just kind of noise. It's like she's mistreating Erica. It's like, all right, well, we don't know what their relationship is.
Well, not just mistreating Erica, but trying to destroy the very entity that Charlie set up on the basis that she's Charlie's only true friend, and everybody who Charlie thought was a friend around him is actually in on it and betraying him. I mean,
could be true.
It could be true. It could also be narcissistic delusion. Which
certainly it could. Absolutely. I'll be the first one to admit that is true. Yes. And again, that will all shake out in time. And that's the whole point.
But that's my problem is that it should have shaken out by now, but there's a lot of people.
The case hasn't happened.
No, but the case has happened, but at least 3 theories that have been thoroughly disproven. And then people say, well, she pivots as the information comes in. I'm like, if you come to conclusions before the information has come in, that says something about your process. And at some point, people should say, Bobby, as a conspiracy analyst, have you looked into DARPA's 2015 release of the X-Acto guided bullet technology and tech's current global sales market? I've got this in the backdrop. DARPA released video of a footage of an the X-Acto program having successful live fire tests of self-steering 50 caliber bullets that features real-time optical guidance. Shut up. It's like a mini what's the word I'm looking for? Mini missile. I'm looking into that, Mr. Mike. Pihan says a cop is university cop glorified security guard. The cams could be old and he may also not charge it every night, but let's jump to
he was a police officer.
Yeah, but I understand the point. It doesn't like police officer. Yeah, and freaking Michael Bird left his gun on a toilet in a Capitol building. Pihan says, who thinks the security makes mistakes? If everyone gets comfortable and in an area like Utah where you have fewer threats, I could see the lapse. Well, there's mistakes, and then there's let it happen on purpose mistakes.
Yeah, but again, I'm not concluding that I know definitively what each thing means, and they're like taking it and just dismissing it outright as if it's jumping to something. It's like, okay, I understand that's your perspective.
I do appreciate people thinking it's making a mountain of a molehill for certain things, like the body cam stuff. Viva,
I don't know, dude. The camera to Jeffrey Epstein mysteriously died, and the guard fell asleep.
That's far different. Like I say, that's different.
It's kind of the same type of vibe.
Well, although let me think about that one before I opine. Viva, you heard it here. Bill is putting out for you, and it's in writing. Now you just need the cash and citizenship. Let me see what Bill is saying. Or Candace is upset she got cut from TPUSA and Charlie Kirk would not love her back and married Erica instead of her. So the fact that she was a friend I don't try to get to that's a plausible a plausible theory. Viva, I
Okay.
know people have been coming at you.
Don't
How
think
will
so,
you win
but-
against the hate? Slim Shaken says, we'll just keep enjoying life. Oh, well, just keep enjoying life. Keep doing the things with your family that will last beyond your life. I believe most people will hate how joyful you are and enjoying life and want to be miserable and angry. I'm just going to ride it out because my process will be vindicated at the end of this. I have not definitively said anything that I think is not sufficiently if it turns out to be an exploding microphone theory, I will eat my underwear. Like I'll eat it, and I'll as much as I had to eat it with fucking Will Chamberlain when I bet him $500 to a charity of his choice that Thomas Massey would win the midterms, and I lost, and I donated the money to charity. I ate it. That was a prediction and not an assessment. But if my modus operandi and procedure will prove to be the reliable, trustworthy one, and it just takes time. It's not fun paddling against the shit, but it's what it is. Bobby. Let me go back here. So, no, not small Bobby, big Bobby. How tall are you?
6 foot.
Shut up. Look at this. You see, this is what I love.
People always think I'm shorter. I'm like,
yeah.
When I see them in real life, they're like, I just assumed you were short. And it's like,
dude, well, because we look like we even got the same proportions. Like it's a little baby.
Why? How tall are you?
5'5". Well, let's say 5'6". If
I'm 5'5".
No, it's 5'6".
Wait, was that you before about the height, or maybe that was Kyle Seraphin? He was like, "Hey, watch out!"
No, I think Kyle's got like an 1.5 inches on me. No, I'm officially 5'6". With shoes on, I can get to like 5. I get those big Asics. They got the big fat 1-inch soles. And
no,
I don't know, but I don't wear that for that. Those are my jogging shoes. I have owned my. I think it's actually just like beneficial to be small. Hide and go seek, it's easier. Climbing trees, it's easier. When I fly, I don't have to get extra leg room. It's wonderful.
My friend Sean is very short, and he could probably kick my ass. He was a U.S. Marine. He was a state championship wrestler. Small dudes are scrappy. I just say it as a joke, but people would say a lot of things about me too. But no, that's fine.
Let's see. We got apparently Zinn pleaded guilty to the 20 images on CSAM on his phone. Yeah, that wouldn't be. He did plead guilty. There's an account. Have you seen the? There's a Twitter account. It's obviously a troll, or what's it called? Whatever, a troll account of George Zinn. I think he was actually trolling Kyle Seraphin earlier, but no, he's serving 20 some odd years now.
Really?
I think. Let me just.
Good way to shut him up. No, I'm just joking.
No, that you're not right. You're not wrong.
Yeah. What about the brother? What about the brother of the guy that shot up the Route 66 or whatever it was?
No, the Vegas shooting. Yeah, they got him on. How long did George?
He's like, this is my brother would have never done this, and it's like beep boop pop. CSAM on his phone in jail, burn his house down.
I'm gonna see. Is he serving? Well, no. I think
examples of that.
They probably did have those guys, and then may or may not have coerced. But yeah, everybody forgets that the brother of the Vegas shooter was nabbed for child porn, and nothing to see there.
Nothing.
Okay. Have you been in? Okay, let's go up here. Bird Capitol Police had a couple other gun incidents. Yeah. Bird had a number of incidents, including shooting Ashley Babbitt. Candace was married first.
That's
50
true.
caliber bullet has a lot more volume to maintain electronics than a 30 or 30-06. He was okay. So the chat is saying he was campus security. Oh, we'll double. Oh, well,
Okay.
let's figure that will be George Zinn, 71, yada yada yada, pleaded no contest. Sentence. Okay, obstruction of. Oh, he pleaded no contest to 3rd-degree obstruction. 2-degree counts of child exploitation and minor. Okay, the sentence run concurrently. Where's the sentence? Why can't I read this? He was sentenced on or around January 29, 2026. Okay, so I don't know how long he got, but up to 15 years. So he's in jail. Can't ask him any questions.
Yeah.
And I'll see if it was a university cop. So
even if it was, body cam is body cam.
Yeah, but it would see. Someone will accuse me of being like it's not true, but even if it is, I don't care. If it was a cop, that's the least of it. If they're going to falsify it, then have the body cam running. Go charge your fucking thing for 5 minutes. Put the screwdriver down while you're charging your battery, and then have it on video that you found it there. Like, you avoid problems with that. You don't create. And I think they also did find allegedly DNA of a palm print on the roof, so it wasn't just the screwdriver.
I have not heard that. I don't believe that is true, but maybe
I think they did. I'll double. But anyway, again, this all comes.
I think
out
the
of
DNA
trial.
was inconclusive. If there was any, I think it was inconclusive.
It was.
Deteriorated.
It was. See, that's why I also say, like, when it comes down to Baron Coleman, The two things that immediately, in my view, discredit the judgment process is when he didn't correct the mistake that he made on the DNA proportions, where he said it was 85, 89, 95 Tyler versus Lance, all the way around, 89, 95 Lance, and then doesn't correct because the person misspoke during the trial and then doesn't reference the fact that they corrected their testimony afterwards. That's a problem. I'm told he's a very good guy, honest and humble. And that's fine. I don't deny it, but that's a process judgment error that really causes me to question everything. Yeah. And then his explanation for why they didn't call the parents at the preliminary hearing made zero sense and it causes me to question his reasoning skills. But
those are fair assessments. And, one thing that I've seen in when I watched a lot of lawyers give feedback on the Karen Reed trial is like, they disagreed about one thing or the other that the other attorney thought was important or not important. So that maybe is a perspective thing, but yeah, I mean, that's the reason lawyers exist in the first place, right? To disagree with each other.
Lawyers exist as the curse to humankind for not being able to get along with each other.
Fair enough. I wanted to be an attorney when I was a kid. I just don't like to read like that.
Well, I say it was a good experience. It gives you a number of useful skills, but it will invariably crush your soul if you do it for long enough.
Yeah.
And the people who do it for long enough are pathological, they're psychopaths. I had one boss who loved it, and he wasn't a psychopath, but he was a very peculiar person. Like he loved the dentist because, it was the experience of the dentist was like the 30 minutes of the day where he had peace and quiet from life, family, and job. He was a very unique, personality, but not psychopathic. The cop was he campus or state police? Let's see if we can get an answer to that question. That's going to bother me. And what else, Bobby? First of all, thank you again for doing this. Do you come to Florida anytime to?
I live in Florida. We talked about this last time.
No, but I'm going totally senile because you're from New Jersey, New York.
I'm from Connecticut, but I live in South Florida. Yeah, we live like 30 minutes away from each other. We talked about that last time.
Hold on, now I feel like a total senile buffoon. I'll ask you where you live afterwards.
Fed slopping, yeah. You got fed slopping the brain, dude.
Call me senile.
They got to you. They got to you.
Hold on, I'm gonna remember. This is driving me crazy now.
Well, don't say it on here, but yeah,
I'm not saying anything.
I live near you. Yeah.
Bagley testified. Okay, so former UVU officer. So this is UVU testified during the preliminary hearing for accused shooter Tyler Robinson that his body camera died. Okay, so it's UVU officer. So what's the answer? This was not a state police patrol.
14-hour body cam dies at the moment that the most crucial piece of evidence is discovered. UVU and then on the radio, they don't say they saw it, but whatever.
Handled the security. Okay, UVU campus police handled the security that day. Well, that's a big fucking problem. I got my questions. So, Bobby, why the hell aren't we fishing on Deerfield Pier or renting a boat and doing this live while we go catch fish?
There's no reason not to.
Hey, hold on. I've got to clock back into that piece of my brain when we had that discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing this right now. Now I'm too curious. Everybody knows where to find you. I'm going to put all your links in the pinned comment when this goes. When this gets processed afterwards, I'm going to put it on Spotify. If you want to use any and all of it, feel free. Snip, clip, post the whole thing. You repost this on your channel. Wait until you see the comments about Viva's a shithead, moron, fed slopper. It's absolutely wild.
It's very zany out there. That's why I was trying to say, it's like, we can't get lost in that. It's like lots of dumbass people say dumbass shit all the time. Like I talk about things about Trump and I'll get the most insane comments ever. And I'm like,
oh yeah, well, we didn't even get into that because where I know we both agree on the insanity of what's going on with so-called MAGA. Call it new MAGA now.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, less than ideal.
Yeah, no, and like talk about senile, like people like Laura Loomer going full Zelensky. What the ever-loving hell is going on? Like I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like this is now like new MAGA wants to support the war with Zelensky and doesn't think that there's ever been a Nazi problem in it's. And I appreciate she's not MAGA, but it's like we're living in a not even a simulation. We're living in a Truman Show meets Idiocracy.
Yes, and we're living in a place and time where a lot of people don't really believe that their integrity is of value. They will sell their message and sell their likeness for personal enrichment or power, which is politics in a nutshell. But the people on the outside.
This is where I say, like, the short-term gain, if any, that she's getting, if she ever has any, She had some credibility in terms of being a pit bull and a pit bull bulldog journalist. This is like I told you like, texting before. This is Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull taking the dive, but I guess in the movie he did come back after all.
Well, and she also, it's like, remember, she gets personal one-on-one FaceTime with the leader of the free world.
That'll skew.
That
will
it's
motivate
like,
you.
So it's like, yeah, it's like objectively like kind of like demon adjacent person. You watch the stuff she says online, it's like, Jesus, like
it's crazy.
Beyond. So it's like, yeah, would the woman that, would eat dog food on camera, like sell her message? Yeah, probably. So I don't take her to be of high credibility. I think she's mentally deranged person.
What does that say? Snowman Wingnut says, Viva, those shots are there. It's not the shots, it's the kids. Okay. When people have kids, you'll understand they don't destroy your brain cells. They just monopolize your short-term memory because you got to make sure they're not, doing stupid things or in trouble. All right, man. Dude, I think MAGA was a scam. Okay. Not getting into that. All right, we've done enough. You've been very generous with your time, and I don't want to abuse it. Bobby, stick around. We're going to say our proper goodbyes. Everybody out there, thank you for being here. Bobby, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
I don't think anybody thinks there's any animosity between us, so I don't think I have to give that disclaimer.
I don't think so.
We're going fishing.
Okay.
This is good. You're going to refresh my memory afterwards. Okay, go. Everybody, Godspeed. God bless, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bobby, just wait 10 seconds so that it doesn't get cut off mid-sentence.
Okay.
And